Hey kids, you're listening to the internet's wettest podcast about video games, consoles, and pancakes. The SML Podcast.
Prepare for the SML Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is the SML Podcast. I am your host, Joe. We have a fun episode lined up. We're going to have our PartyCast crew later on in the show, chat and reviews. But we're starting off. Bri and Aki are here. How are you two doing?
Good enough.
Good enough. Just that it? Just good enough?
I mean, I'm not normally up this early, so that's fun. Or I guess I am normally up this early. I'm not out of bed yet. So
getting up at the crack of noon.
Yeah.
I'm not usually up before like 2 to 4 p.m. So
nice.
But,
yeah, we're late night people. Yeah.
We're up early for a special occasion. We've got Nick and Adam from North Star Video Games joining us today to chat about Spray Paint Simulator. Nick, Adam, how are you two doing?
I'm good, thank you. I've been up 10 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good. Excellent, actually. Really good day here in the UK.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's bright and sunny. It's nice.
For the people who don't know who North Star Video Games are, who you guys are, and what Spray Paint Sim is, give us the rundown. What brings you to our show, and tell us about the game.
Okay, so North Star's been around since about 2014. I set it up. It was basically me on my own for quite a long time doing work on other games. So probably the one which leads quite quickly into why we're working on Spray Paint Sim now is Lawn Mowing Simulator. So we worked on that back in, it's kind of like COVID times, kind of like 2020. So we worked on it back then. I'm an artist, by the way. Yeah, background as an artist, but it's kind of like when you do an indie dev, you do a little bit of everything now. And we were doing jobs for other people. Like Adam I've worked with Adam for like 20 years, I think. And we've both followed each other around. So we've worked on lots of different games. And we were making our own games in the spare time. And this is what happened with Spray Paint Sim, is we started working on that. I think it was like late 21, something like that. But it was only kind of weekends, evenings, wherever spare time we could, and put a demo together, sent it out kind of late 23, yeah, and got signed with Whitethorn and started early last year. That's me. If Adam wants to say anything.
Yeah, I think Nick covered most things. I've been working with Nick for the last 20 years ago, since PlayStation 2, and we've done all sorts of things, but we had a good time working on Lawn Mowing Simulator with Skyhook, and that kind of led us a bit more into simulation games. And we've really been trying to get a project of our own off the ground for a while, so we spent quite a while working on demo, and as Nick said, we were fortunate enough to get that signed with Whitethorn, and here we are, almost 18 months later, almost launched.
And that's gone so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fast.
When this episode airs, it'll be about a week and a half until release. Comes out May 29th, yes?
Yeah. It's when you say that my knees go wobbly. Yeah. Yeah.
What exactly is Spray Paint Simulator? I know the simulator genre has kind of exploded in recent years. Seems like Goat Simulator kind of kicked it off, and now we have everything from like hotel construction, demolition games, Power Wash Sim, of course, took the world by storm, and now our eyes have been on Spray Paint Simulator because it looks absolutely bonkers fun. So what is this game?
Okay, and thank you for that, by the way. I'd say it's as you've picked out there. Obviously, there's been a rise in simulators, and they do vary. But ours is definitely I'd say it's a relaxing, creative game about transformation. So you're taking like old, worn things and transforming them into new with a touch of paint. But you've got like the career job side where it's quite like structured. So you get given a job by a client and you complete that job. And then you've got free spray, which unlocks after you've completed that job, where it's a lot more creative and free. So it's kind of like we've taken elements. We definitely looked at like power wash, a bit of lawn mowing sim in there, and there's a little bit of house flipper as well. So I'd say it's. I think that's about it in a nutshell. It's like a methodical, satisfying gameplay. Really improves your mood, well-being, which I think is important at the moment in the world. Quite a lot of things going on. So a ray of light I like to look at it on as.
I think the paint and colour adds a bit too on top of those games that Nick mentioned there, because you can obviously do an amount of painting and expression and things. It's not really fundamentally what it's for. It's not really an art tool, but there is an amount of that in the gameplay as well, and definitely an amount of messing about in free spray, spraying everything, spray the plants, the road, the houses, the windows, whatever you like.
Yeah, whatever you want. Yeah. And we've got like some of the mechanics as well. We've got preparation as well. I don't know if you've played it yet, but you start at the beginning, you go through quite like another thing with simulator games, checklist, completing tasks. So you're working your way through, you see that progress, and you get the enjoyment and satisfaction from completing the checklist, which is step through masking, or repair. And then it's the spraying, and you're completing each object, and you get the satisfaction, audio feedback, and also the visual feedback. So it's just, in an essence, it's that kind of, it's transformation, but on a moment to moment, you're getting that kind of that loop of completing a thing, and it's the satisfaction of just doing something. And it's almost it is a second screen game as well, whereas you can switch off. Kind of, you might play something before that's really busy, and then go to this, switch off, and you can go to bed straight after, very relaxed.
Yeah, I put some time into the demo earlier, and I really enjoyed the masking and the removal of stuff in preparation for setting up the job. A lot of games, it just throws you right in, and it's nice to have a little more realism.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's one of the things we were looking at, when you, because my wife sprays a lot. She used to spray a lot. Still does. Renovates furniture. Like, it goes and gets an auction, buy old furniture, rub it down, respray it. So I've seen that process many times, where you're rubbing something down, or we didn't do the rubbing down, but the actual masking of things, so you're not damaging areas. So it was kind of like, just made sense to put that process in. But what we didn't want to do as well is go too realistic, because we definitely wanted to lean into the fun aspect of the game, and also it allows us to have a bit more fun in terms of like the type of jobs you do. Like, you've got a giant robot. It's not like you do that in the real life. So unless you do, I don't know.
I mean, I have a giant robot. I don't know about you guys. I mean,
I'd love a giant robot. I haven't got one.
I don't have a giant one, but I have a bunch of little robots.
That is true.
Aki likes Gunpla.
It's great. I'm not totally currently working on one as we speak or anything.
Proud of you. So, Bri, you've been excited for this one. What kind of questions do you have? Because I know you're prepared for this one. You're excited about this one. I want to give you the floor and let you ask whatever your heart desires.
All right. Well, first I played the demo and I loved it. I'm excited for the whole game. There's definitely a hole in my life for this kind of chorecore game. So I'm really looking forward to spray painting on May 29th. It's right before my vacation though, so I'm like, I'm gonna dive in and go whole hog. But the demo had some smaller jobs like a car and a kitchen, where there'll be large jobs too. I saw in the trailer you'll be able to fix and repair stuff. Tell us more about that.
Okay, Adam, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, I could do. But we started with a few smaller jobs, kind of trying to ease you into the game a bit, with the car and the kitchen. I mean, we bring in a few more mechanics as well, because the next job in the game is a tour bus, and on that you have to kind of mask it in stages, so that you do the first part and paint that one color, and then mask the area you've sprayed, uncover another section, and do it in multiple bits. And that's probably maybe twice as long as the kitchen to do, something like that. And then we move you on to painting of an art gallery, where you've got to repaint all the walls. And again, we kind of do that in stages, with different walls and different colours. And that's quite a lot bigger again, probably an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes to complete that job, because you have to take all the pictures off the walls and move all the art exhibits out of the way, and mask everything up. And you have to use scaffolding and ladders and things to get around the job. And then the jobs really do start to get quite big. We did a bridge, which
that's one where you can repair stuff. Yeah.
So there's little bits of repair. Again, it's fairly simple. It's the same kind of mechanics as removing items. But there's a bit of consumable stuff in there because you have to use some filler. And then that bridge is quite a big job. That's more like a 4-hour mark to do that bridge.
Wow.
But we break it up a little, because partway through that job, you get a message about needing more equipment, and then we take you off and you have to renovate the cherry picker. So you respray all of that. And then that appears in your set of equipment, and you can get your cherry picker out and you can drive around, and just basically that lets you really get to all the bits of the bridge, which otherwise you can do it with the scaffolding, but it's more fun with the cherry picker. So even though the job's quite big, because it really is quite a chunky job, that you do get some extra mechanics and things to play with while you do that job. And then onto our robots, which I don't think it takes quite as long as the bridge, but you can still easily be at 2.5 hours or something. But it's a bit hard for me to judge, because I get through these things at...
He's brilliant at it.
Yeah, lightning pace. But the robots, quite different job again, because the bridge is kind of all one colour, but you do have to drive around with a cherry picker and get to different bits of it. But with the robots, he's multicoloured again, so you have to do mask and unmask different bits.
Nice.
He's quite tall, so you have to go up in the cherry picker to get to parts of him. And he's a bit of a climbing frame as well, really. So you jump on his arms and run around his shoulders and
on his head, on his mohawk.
Yeah. He's probably my favourite job. But yeah, we do. I think, to answer your first question, is we do kind of gradually ramp up the amount of time each job takes, and add on a few extra bits and pieces like the cherry picker, the masking, doing things in multiple stages and things as we go along.
And you'll be able to save in the middle?
Yep, sorry. I missed that, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, you'll be able to save in the middle, so like if I only want to, sit for like an hour at a time or something. Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, you can come in and go out whenever you like, and everything is maintained. Yep, absolutely. So
What is the longest job in the game?
That's definitely the bridge. It's just quite big, basically.
But it's nowhere near as big as it was before it was balanced. It was, I don't know, like 8 hours originally.
Wow.
But then it was like, whoa. So we thought, are we going to shrink this down? But then it's one of the other things that things are unlocked as you go along, and you get different spray tools, and you get different, and the spray tool has different nozzles as well. So you've got small, medium, and large. So you as you go on, you get a better spray tool or unlock the larger nozzle, and it will get better coverage. So you can actually complete the bridge much quicker with that. So if for example you went and did the bridge and you used the default spray tool and used the very small nozzle, it's going to take you a long time still. But if you do it on the other end of the scale with the more powerful spray tool, then it obviously a lot quicker.
That was going to be my next question, was really about the tools. You've already kind of mentioned some of them with the scaffolding and everything. What kind of tools and equipment will we have to play with besides the tape and a spray gun?
Okay, so we've got the scaffolding, which we've mentioned. There's 2 step ladders. There's a normal size step ladder and a slightly taller one. There are 3 scaffolds, small, medium, and large. There are a plank of wood, which sounds like, wow, what a plank of wood. But you can put it down and you can use it to mask like the bottom, like say the floor level, and you can spray in it. You won't spray underneath.
Nice.
What else is there? The cherry picker itself, which is a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got spray tools, 3 of them, and each one has 3 nozzles. They're attachments. And we've got some hidden things, which you're not going to say yet, but there's a few hidden things in there as well, which are fun.
Fair. Fair.
So, well, you've probably seen them actually. You might have seen them on social media. We've got a trampoline, which is just for fun. You've got a spray and trampoline. It's great. It's quite good fun. It's good.
Sounds like good exercise.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I sneezed. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah.
I was kind of gonna ask if there's any like ridiculous tools in the game, like for comparison in Power Wash Sim. At the end, you could buy the 3 nozzle sprayer.
The Trident thing. Yeah.
Always wanted something more, something goofier. Like I want ridiculous power. Do you have anything like crazy overpowered in the game?
We don't at the moment, because obviously this is on release and we've had a lot to do. So it's kind of, but there are tons of ideas. We've got tons of ideas. So it's kind of thing we'd explore, because I quite fancy that. I've thought of like, and Adam has as well. We've thought of things like paint grenades or paint bombs or just like bazookas, that kind of thing. So we could do that later. But I think at the moment, because there's literally 2 of us on the dev team, on the PC dev team, it's kind of like, I think, well, how long has it been? Like 16, 18 months. So it's kind of thing we explore. Sorry, Adam.
We've definitely done a few silly things, as Nick mentioned. There's the trampoline, and we also did, which I think was briefly teased in the original teaser trailer, was the tartan nozzle, which you can spray things in the tartan pan, and it just randomly plays the bagpipes as you spray things and things. Mess about a bit. We will add more things that are fun for people to play with. But yeah, at the moment it's just all hands on to get absolutely across this line, all good before we launch.
Get the core game sorted, as solid as we can. Get that, and then we can build on it.
Root Beer in chat is saying you need the ability to write graffiti.
You could do that.
Can you?
You could go into free spray and spray however you want. I guess that's.
I can't wait to see what kind of crazy shit people eventually do in this game.
There's going to be
all the giant penises on everything.
Yeah, TTP.
That's
what we used to call it. TTP. Yeah. That's what I used to call it on Lawnmower Sim. It's like time to penis.
Yep.
So,
We've heard that so many times on this show over the years. TTP. Everyone knows what TTP is.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
I love it. I love hearing that.
I didn't have to explain it. That's good.
I'm glad you did, because I didn't know what that was, actually.
Yeah.
That amazes me, Aki. I figure you would have known that one.
No, I don't know very many of the abbreviations, actually. I'm very slow on the uptake with that stuff.
We need a TTP command. There you go. So this will be multiplayer as well. Will this be cross-platform at all? I hear that's kind of a hard thing to do. Even multiplayer is hard to do. But is that something that you have in the works?
At the moment, not really. Because we're on Day One Game Pass, we're also on the Windows Store, and because that's all integrated, you can multiplayer between the Windows Store version and Xbox.
Oh, that's good to hear.
That's because that's the same system.
Yeah.
But not between anything else.
That's fair. It's a challenging thing to do for small teams. I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried to be reasonably sensible with our first implementation of co-op, because it's just a minefield of rules and regulations for all the consoles.
I bet.
User-generated console, we have to track what every user does and be able to show, it was this user that did this, so if you want to then block that user, you know who it was. And it's a lot of stuff. So at the moment, it is limited to free spray, because we just wanted to make sure, with so many different platforms we're launching on, that we weren't just overreaching and weren't going to run into too many problems. But I think it's high on my list of things to do as the programming side of the team, to work on expanding that, because we know that that's an area that players are really going to ask. Can we have more players? Can we have it in the career mode? And it's kind of tantalizingly close to that, but it just was a bit too risky for our initial release. So
fair. So you mentioned Game Pass. Was that an easy decision to make? I've heard mixed reviews from developers and publishers about their experience putting a day one game. I think it absolutely brought way more players to a game like Botany Manor, also published by Whitethorn. And I hope it'll bring success for you too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were happy to get on Game Pass, because I can't remember exactly when we made that decision, but it was probably about eight months in, or maybe even a bit earlier. And at the time, it's like a vote of confidence in what you're doing. It just means that we've got a guaranteed user base to some extent.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
It's definitely a challenge to some extent, because as we just talked about with the kind of co-op gameplay, we know that there's potential for a huge number of players coming on board very quickly. So the robustness of those systems and things is scary to some extent. And I can see personally me being very busy fixing issues.
Yeah.
While obviously we've done a lot of testing, and we've come through the certification process and everything for the console, it's still scary looking at the potential number of players. But I think Game Pass we were happy with as a kind of vote of confidence, and I think Whitethorn were happy with it as well. It's good exposure, I think, too. And we've not released yet, so I can't fully answer the question. But yeah.
We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, you'll find out.
It's been very positive so far. It's been very positive. So, yeah, we'll find out.
Good. So, go ahead, Joe. No, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, I've seen a lot of positive word of mouth about this game. There's just a lot of excitement around this one, and I think it's going to do pretty good. I think as long as the final product lives up to how good the demo was, I think this could be a runaway success, and I hope it is.
Well, thank you very much. I think we hope so too. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. We've worked on a lot of different things over the last 20 years, but obviously this is a little different, being completely ours, and it being such a small team with most of the work on the main game being 2 people typically working on it at any given time, which is just crazy compared to the team sizes that even 20 years ago people were putting on games. But it's been an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
But
a good one. Very fun. Very fun.
So you mentioned you've worked on like lawn mowing simulator. What other kinds of stuff have you guys worked on?
Cool. First game I made, and you wouldn't have heard of this at all, was because we did a lot of work for Sony. There's a lot of PlayStation stuff, so it was kind of PS1, a game called Eliminator, and it was so hard. It was ridiculously hard to play. That was the first game. But then since then we did a lot of like kind of franchises, and so worked on things like Stuart Little 3 and Muppets game, and worked in Visimals, Jungle Party. Party games, Lawn Mowing Sim, like we said. Eternal Threads, which is like a narrative game.
Oh yeah.
So I did the art on that, and Adam's code.
Nice.
We test quite, and then we've done like odd bits and beats on other things like VR stuff as well. So LMS VR, Lawn Mowing Sim VR, we worked on that.
Over the years, there's all sorts of things, because those are the releases, but a lot of the time you work on prototypes and ideas, things that don't move further. But
any cool prototypes you can tell us about, like that just were a really cool idea that just didn't work out?
It was one idea, but it didn't get taken very far. There was it was called Graffiti Kid or something like that, which is very topical. But it was a very different type game. That was pretty cool. We did actually, I don't know if I can talk. We did actually work on a game and finished it, and then I don't know if I can. No, I better not say actually. But we finished it. It was a really cool little party game, and I'll tell you what, it was a Snoopy game. But this was a long time ago, and then it just got canned after it had been finished, which is very odd.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I think that was licensing issue or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
they decided against it. But we've done all sorts of bits and pieces. We worked on a Vita game for at least 18 months or so. It was getting quite good, and then gone, not released. And with a lot of technology, facial capture systems that are now much more commonplace. We were places like Pinewood Studios and Shepperton and things with actors and
the James Bond set
stages. And doing really fancy facial capture technology, streaming geometry for streaming light maps and stuff with faces, which is all really interesting stuff. And it's kind of the lessons you learn to some extent, which we've kind of applied in our kind of choice of project in some ways. With Spray Paint Simulator, is games are really, really complicated things to make, and if you start having like tons of characters and tons of cutscenes, and you want high quality, it's just an immense process.
You need a lot of people.
without barely doing anything. It's I think that's a problem that AAA has that we're hopefully avoiding, which is nice.
Yeah, the bloat. I hear
The
it
bloat,
called.
it happens.
Yeah. So speaking of extra characters and stuff, do we get like quirky characters and stories in the people of Spatterville that are hiring us for jobs?
Yeah, we've got a range of characters and a bit of background story. It's all quite light and light-hearted. As I kind of alluded to there, we wanted to obviously stay away from actually the modelling the characters and doing the cutscenes, voice acting, and everything. So it's there's not a lot of it, but we wanted to give it a bit of character, and we'll keep kind of extending that to some extent. There's a different character for each job, except I think the car and the cherry picker are both the same person. Other than that,
there's definitely some characters in it, though, isn't there, Adam?
Yeah,
it's just funny. Yeah, the love affair. There's a love affair going on as well.
Oh,
so, yeah.
You can read about that in the demo as well.
Yeah, actually.
Speaking of
and obviously
the demo,
you've got your own other, sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say, speaking of the demo, it's been out on Steam. What kind of feedback have you guys gotten from the demo, and what kind of changes or updates have you made to the game based on feedback?
We've had a ton of feedback because we had 2 Google forms, and we've had obviously 2 social media people feedback on there, but we've had like a ton of information back, and people find bugs. People generally there was 2 forms. There was one for feedback, one for bugs. So we've had a few bugs. We fixed all those. But on the feedback, the things like difficulty levels, getting the balance just right. Is something too picky? You got to find the end bit, or is it like too easy? I think the last time I looked, it was hovering around about 93% just right. So it feels like we're doing something right there. Obviously, there's a mix. There's some mainly very positive, and there's a few negative that we've tried to address, but mainly positive. So yeah, pretty good feedback. People seem to have really enjoyed the demo. We've updated it. This will be the second update. Yeah, and we'll keep working on it.
I was looking at some of the comments, and someone mentioned spray paint cans that they thought that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've heard that one. I did think that we decided to go with the spray tool because obviously it's meant to be almost like a job, like power washes or house slippers. So it's kind of like look more at people that coating businesses that spray. You go and get some shot blast and then you'll paint it, or you'll paint your house, or someone will renovate a piece of furniture. And a lot of people tend to use portable spray guns, and it gets a bit. It's a bit of a mixed message if you're using spray cans as well. You're going, well, is that a graffiti game? Which it can be. But it isn't. That isn't the core. So it's kind of that was the main reason for not doing that, really. And it stands out a bit because there are actually. I don't think I can think of anything else that's got spray paint guns or in it. At the moment. So yeah.
We'll definitely listen to feedback from people and act on the things that are most requested.
Yeah.
I think that potentially we could add spray cans in, and when we discuss things internally, the people suggesting things like because there's motion sensors in the controllers, things like shake your controller for shaking the can, and there's stuff we could do, but it's not on our initial release radar.
Oh yeah.
It's like as Joe was saying earlier about the overpowered like spray tool or something. You could have something like that with a few cans stuck on the side, like the side, and then when you pick it up, it shakes, and you're like that, and then you could, you could do something like that.
It's the sound, right? The
sound
it is.
Spray
can is something that I think is appealing.
Yeah.
The sound of spraying in general is the ASMR kind of whatever. But yeah.
Oh man, this would have been amazing on the Wii. Just shake the Wii remote to shake the can and then use the trigger to spray.
But I'm definitely up for like making more spray tools, like trying to come up with some crazy ideas for it. Kind of reminds years ago, Ratchet and Clank, with all the different weapons from the crazy weapons. So that kind of stuff, but in a spray tool would be quite good.
Mm.
Like Nerf guns, I was looking at Nerf guns quite a lot when I was creating the spray tools because I didn't want it to be too industrial. Even though when you look at real spray tools, they are quite toy-like. So it was kind of, just play with that a bit and make it a little bit more playful.
Yeah.
Get a super soaker as a gun.
Mm. And there's a tie-in. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I have a question. I went to your website and I watched the trailer on there, and it showed the player characters wearing different outfits. How customizable is it? Are there just, a couple different characters you can choose to play as, or is there like full-blown character customization to change the look of the character, or how exactly is that happening?
Okay, so what you can do is you've got a uniform. So it's not full-blown character customization, as in you can say how tall you are, how much, your frame or anything like that. Not as in-depth as that yet. But what you can do is you can go in and you can select, so you've got like a mask, a hoodie, joggers, sneakers, socks, gloves. I think that's all of them. And with each one of those, you can switch the cosmetic skins of them around. But also, so you've got that. So you could say like set a pink hoodie and camouflage kind of joggers and red sneakers with a black trim on. And then you can then go into what we call in free spray. There's a room called uniform. So you can go in there and your character stood there in a T-pose, and you can go in and get the paint for free, pick up your spray tool, and then spray it however you want. So
Nice.
you can choose different clothes, but then you can then just do your own thing if you want anyway.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, awesome.
I see some tie-dye in my future.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually going to do a tie-dye hoodie. Yeah. Definitely open for ideas for like designs for that kind of stuff as well, in terms of like, does anybody want a specific type of design? Maybe not just yet though, after we release the game.
You could always do like a community like design an outfit and make it DLC.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun way to get the community involved and
get people involved,
some fun
and
ideas.
Then look at some designs, and it seems reasonable. Yeah.
TTP on that one.
Oh. Well, yeah. No comment.
So I'm going to steal Joe's regular question because I feel like this is a good one. What games are you guys playing these days?
Oh, right. Okay. That's a good one. Yeah, none. I'm making this one. But generally, no, I did actually the other day, and I bought it because it's been my wish list for ages. The Long Dark, and I've wanted to play it for ages and ages, a long time. So I started playing that. I think the thing is when you're like making games, is it's quite easy to slip into like, oh, how are they doing this? What are they doing there? But that kind of thing. So I kind of tend to buy some games just to look at what people are doing now and get a feel for games. So I was playing something the other day with it. Repo. Playing Repo is really hard.
Okay.
I was rubbish at it, but Repo. I want to play the games I want to play, which once I get a bit of time after this, hopefully. Pacific Drive. I want to play that.
Right. I've been watching someone stream that. That looks interesting.
Cool. But yeah, I'd say the last one was the Long Drive and Repo, but not in any, like, I've not spent as long as I'd like to, because I tend to go, I better get some work done. I better get back on the game and come up with an idea or something. So I better get back and do some spray paint sim.
Root Beer in chat is very excited that you mentioned the Long Dark.
Oh, right, yeah, cool, yeah.
They have 4,000 hours logged in that game.
Whoa, that's a lot. Wow.
Do you think people can spend 4,000 hours in Spray Paint Simulator?
Well, Adam might have something to say about it, but yeah, I think, he nearly has, haven't he?
No, I'm at about 2,100 or something at the moment. But obviously, as a developer, I'm cheating. But I have spent a lot of hours in it.
But you could spend that time in it though. Definitely in free spray, you could just because you can paint the entire environment. So it's like say the car takes 10, 15 minutes to do the car, but you could literally spend 4 or 5 hours longer just going around spraying all the houses, even more, or new designs, and then share them. It's you can do that. It's open ended. So yeah, you could.
Nice. Adam, what games are you playing these days? I feel bad that we cut off Bri's question there.
I recently completed Days Gone, which I thought was great, and then been struggling a bit for a replacement for it. I've actually been playing Nier Automata for a while. I tried a Mad Max game for a bit, but I wasn't so keen. I just, for some reason, got into large open world games, and those are the things I've been playing most recently. Nier Automata is quite cool, but I kind of preferred Days Gone.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my library now on Steam going, I've got tons now, I've just not paid them.
Yeah.
Backlogs are real, man. Backlogs are just,
it's unbelievable. For the King, what else have I got? Human Fall, I played Human Fall, fuck. The Long Dark, yes. Got that there. What else? Project Zomboid. Quite enjoyed that, that was good. Yeah, just a bunch of stuff, actually.
You got any?
And I've got some demos to play as well. Sorry?
Yeah. Oh, you've got demos to play?
Yeah. It's just, I just keep building them up, not playing them. We Harvest Shadows demo, I want to play that.
What's your number one game you're excited for when you have time after launch?
Pacific Drive.
Yeah.
Actually, Anna, I think I need to be strict with myself and play The Long Dark for a bit longer because I did enjoy that. But I literally played it for like an hour, so I need to sit down and play that because it was good.
Yeah.
I played the story one. I can't remember what it's called. Winterville, is it, or Winterborn? That one with the plane crash. That was quite good. Yeah, just getting the time really to do that.
Yeah.
And I think days are quite long. I was awake at 6 this morning, and you kind of finish at 6 at night, and then pretty tired.
Yeah.
All good though, enjoyable.
What about you, Adam?
I think I'd probably like to play some of the Pacific Drive as well. I do need to pick it up. Yeah. I think a lot of the time I try to focus on the game I'm playing, otherwise I tend not to finish them. So trying to get through Nier Automata at the moment, and then Pacific Drive is probably where what I'd like to play next.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to Spray Paint Simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't really say that. Yeah, me too.
I really am. I'm excited for this one. The fact that it's going to be on Game Pass, the fact that it's going to have online play. Bri, me and you have to get together and just plow through this together.
Yeah. Have some fun in free spray, doing some crazy designs.
How will progress work online? Will it be a shared progress, or will it just be the host that saves the progress?
It's you join the host's game, but it is free spray that is the currently the co-op section. So that's more the kind of mess about and spray the street. Currently, the career is single player, but as I touched on earlier, it is definitely an area that is a priority to work on further. It's just so many different consoles and a lot to do.
What is in the future for Spray Paint Sim after release? Are you going to work on more content for the game? I know it's releasing on PC and Xbox. Are you considering any other platforms, or is that a Whitethorn call? What's in the future for the game?
I think in terms of more content, that as we've alluded to there, yeah, definitely more content. Things like we can do more uniforms, we can do more spray tool designs, like skins for them. But the biggest one, which I'm guessing, which most players will want, is more job content and environments to spray. So that is definitely an area that we want to do and have been thinking about quite a lot. So that's 100% content will be a thing. Yeah.
And extending the network more and more players, more modes. It's just there's a bit of a lead time on that because of the platform certification, and we have also already announced PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo Switch. So we're out on pretty much everything.
Yeah,
apart from the Switch 2, but then you can play us on that anyway.
Root Beer is actually specifically asking Switch 2 when. So the demand is there.
Great.
Yeah, we're obviously compatible in terms of we're coming out on Switch, but we don't have a specific Switch 2 version in the pipeline at the moment. That, once we get this launch out of the way, everything else is on the table, and we'll go where people want us to go. Really.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's obviously we've got people that we talk to at Whitethorn, and we get feedback from the demo. But once we get more players and community on board, then we'll get a lot more feedback, and then we can look to see what people are saying and see if there's a general consensus for something. Then we can seriously consider that.
Very nice. I know we've been chatting for a while. Bri, is there any other questions you wanted to ask?
You put me on the spot, and now I've drawn a complete blank. I guess just really, what is anything else in the future for North Star? Do you have any other ideas already simmering after you're done with Spray Paint Sim?
Well, we're hoping that we're not done with Spray Paint Sim, to be honest. But you always have ideas. You always have ideas. You always have ideas, and we have got ideas fizzing along. But it's generally everything at the moment is focused on Spray Paint Sim and the content, and we're looking at updates and things like this. So it is very much focused on Spray Paint Sim at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But,
because we're such a small team with generally just the two of us, it's difficult to shift to do much else. We, as Nick has mentioned, want to focus on making more content and some support and bits and pieces for the foreseeable future before we focus too heavily on other things.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Aki, any other questions on your end?
I'm entirely too stupid to come up with questions. Come on now. One was a lot. My brain power for the month has been used up. Come on now. Be nice.
That is fair. Poor Aki.
So poor Aki. So poor Aki.
Is there anything you guys wanted to talk about that we didn't bring up?
I can't think of anything. No.
Not that I can think of explicitly.
Well, give us the sales pitch on the game one more time. It comes out May 29th. Sell it to us.
Okay, it's a chill game. You've got a job structure to it, so you can go in and you can play games and just do your checklist, complete jobs, get the rewards from that. Once you've unlocked the jobs, you go through and you've gone to free play. It's just a very chill, relaxing, satisfying game. That's basically in a nutshell. It's chill. Adam, is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to play. Easy to pick up. It's just relaxing, fun, creative, chill game to play. And we hope people will enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed making it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Adam, Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Again, the game is Spray Paint Simulator. It is out on Xbox and Game Pass May 29th. So keep your eyes open for that. Where can people keep up to date with you guys and what you're doing?
Well, we're on X, we're on TikTok, we've got a website, Steam Community Hub. If you search for Spray Paint Simulator, it'll come up, or North Star Video Games. So I monitor them all, so you can do that. Or Whitethorn have got a Discord server as well, which I'm sure Lisa could share a link if you want that.
Yeah, the link to it's also in the demo.
Yes, that's true.
Good.
Yeah.
Very nice. Again, I want to thank you two for coming on, hanging out with us, chatting about Spray Paint Sim. Everyone, stick around. We're going to have more show to take care of after a little break. We will be back with more. Nick, Adam, do either of you have any final words to wrap this up?
If this sounds like a fun game to you, check it out on Steam or console. Hit the wishlist button. That'll be really helpful for us because, like Adam said, we are a small team. We've worked on many bigger projects, and this is our kind of dream come true, really. So we want to continue doing this, and we would appreciate the support.
Yep, all good.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. Another huge thanks to the North Star Games team for coming on, chatting about Spray Paint Simulator. It is out next week. Sure to pick it up when you can. It'll be on Game Pass. Play it, have fun, and we'll talk about it in another week or two, hopefully with a review. But we have more show to take care of. We got reviews of ourselves this episode, and Aki's here, Pernell's here, Chris is here, and Grant is here. How's everybody doing?
You're good.
Okay.
Except for the Lyme disease. Doing great.
Yeah, I don't even joke about that. Hopefully,
You just
everything
lead off.
okay.
Apart from the Lyme disease, fine.
Great.
So, Grant, how did you get Lyme disease?
Well, I don't have Lyme. I mean, someone's got Lyme disease, so it's not the best show for them.
Statistically,
I'm okay. Statistically, someone's got it, but I'm okay so far. So
I think I'm clean.
feel pretty good.
Okay.
I don't feel limey.
Or
No?
blimey.
Have you
I do,
guys,
but that's
had-
kind of typical.
Has anyone had their eyes on Spray Paint Sim?
No, I'm unfamiliar. It did make me wonder,
Never
like,
heard of it.
if we're running out of activities to sim at this point. But yeah, so that's interesting. I wonder. I haven't looked at it. Is it kind of like Power Wash, but you're spraying paint on?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Cool.
Like in the demo, the first stage in the demo, you would first take off like the door handles and the antenna and the mirrors, and then you would buy paper and tape, and you would like highlight the windows, tape those over, and the fender and tape that over. Repeat until everything's covered up. It has a little checklist on the side, so you know when you're ready, and then you paint the car like power wash sim, but you're spraying on.
Yeah.
When
okay, so that sounds a little more involved than what I was picturing, which is just basically fancy coloring book for grown-ups.
I mean, they do have a free mode, so you could spray whatever you want as well. But
graffiti mode.
Yes.
Well, that's good.
The one question that came up in the interview was people asking if they were going to include aerosol cans of spray paint.
That's kind of what I was. That's what popped in my head first. But this is more like legit suiting up and painting a car, which I always look at the outfits they wear when they're spraying cars, thinking it's hot. Must be warm. It's like spacesuits, you know.
You can customize your suit in the game too. Like you could wear leopard print.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool.
There's a demo on Steam.
I'm trying to think. Oh man, I'm too sleepy for this. But like, don't you remember?
Nope.
Oh, is that Color Jet sprayer or something like that? It's where you had a pen that you would put into like this little pump, like as a kid, a little plastic kit. Where you could like do a spray art, like
oh yes, I do actually.
Yeah, a really really weak one. Like I'm trying to remember what it was called. Anyway, we had one. It was really fun to use when you could get it to work. But I'm thinking it's Color Jet sprayer because I'm looking at one right now that's being sold on eBay for actually not very much money at all.
You gonna buy it?
I have just under the amount of money they want.
I absolutely remember this, by the way, Chris.
It's Color Jet Spray. Yes, it has an easy-to-use foot pump as well. Yeah, I remember this. This is the one.
This is like my first airbrush, basically, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was very simple. Like I said, it was like putting a little pen into kind of this contraption that would blow paint. Not paint, but just like ink stuff. Probably toxic. I don't know. Depends on when this was, but
yeah, I don't know. This is in that weird gray area. I feel like could have been.
This could have been like a horrible thing, or it could have been perfectly safe. And yeah, no batteries required, no messy paints, no special markers required.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah. I don't know how it worked.
I've ever seen one of those.
Yeah, I had one. It was pretty cool, but
cool.
Yeah.
You know what else is
anyways,
cool?
What else is cool?
Bananas?
Dave's here. That's cool. Dave, how are you doing?
Oh, hello. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm here finally. Sorry about that.
Yay. Good. Tim's not here. So.
Oh, fantastic. I'm not even late. I don't even know I'm sweating.
No, you're late.
Oh, well.
Technically, everybody but Aki was late.
Everyone. I know. I was all worried about being late, and I was the earliest late one. Yeah. It's funny.
Pernell was the least late at a minute 30, 9:01:30.
I'm going to have time I don't eat ice cream now. Hell yeah.
Oh, God damn it, I'm getting ice cream. Fuck this.
Go ahead, Aki. I told you to do it. Big Adam's in chat. Adam, how are you doing? You should join us.
Not too bad.
Wait. Oh, I saw him in the green room or something, or was that Dave?
That's me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Big Adam's in Twitch chat.
Oh,
he should be joining next week for a review. That would be fun.
So I was so now that I'm on eBay, I'm like looking at like the last thing I looked at, which is Snoopy Tennis on the old Nintendo Game & Watch from 1982. Wow. So it's basically like ball, but it was Snoopy on one side with a tennis racket and like other Peanuts characters on the left side, like lobbing balls at him, and you have to like go up and down this little tree to hit the balls back. So like you do. You want to guess how much money this thing costs without looking it up yourself? If you cheat, I'm not going to know, so you can go ahead.
It must be rare.
It's rare, yeah.
Snoopy
I would call it up there.
Up there, really?
Like,
okay, Well, yeah, I was going to say maybe things are way more expensive than I think they are when it comes to this collectible stuff anymore. So I would say I don't know,
$11 bajillion.
like $1,000.
I'm going to go a little higher than that because of inflation. I'm going to say that it is worth $700,000.
Well, that's I would say that everybody lost the Price is Right version. I don't know. It depends on what condition you're looking at. Okay, so one with a box that I'm looking at, $619.
Oh.
But other ones that are just basic used, they've lived in someone's pocket for a little while, those start at about $130. So,
okay. Damn.
And then the non-functioning versions are around $70, which is how much I expected this thing to top out at.
So it's $70 for one that doesn't work.
Yeah, for one that's just a very depressing, lonely screen. There's literally one I'm looking at where it's just the two branches of the tree that are visible and the little bird's nest at the top, and then the platform on the left side, and Snoopy's house is faded into oblivion, and there's it doesn't work, so there's no way you're gonna ever see these characters. Might be one of the most depressing things I've seen, so I went ahead and put a picture in our Discord of it. That's $75. If you look at the picture in the Discord, that is $75 right there, and it's the last one. It says.
I'm gonna throw that in general so everyone can see it.
Yeah, sorry, I meant to, but. Snoopy tennis.
That's just.
I've mentioned this before, but I'm really into the Analog Pocket, which is a pocket FPGA Game Boy player. It's a little better than emulation, but it's also emulation. But I mean, it does play real cards, and it can save to them and everything. So it's again, it's a little bit better than what you'd normally see in an emulator. Anyway, it has a core that plays these old Game & Watch games. So I actually do have Snoopy's Tennis. I've been playing it. It's actually pretty fun. But yeah, I was trying to look at the real deal, and it's a little bit ugh.
Maybe next time.
The collectors know about this 43-year-old piece of LCD technology and have charged accordingly.
Actually, just went on
$600 for one might as well be $700,000 for how much I'm not going to pay that for that.
There's one that is in French, so instead of the hit button, it says coup, and it's hot and boss on the for up and down. So actually, yeah, that's French keys, and that one costs $393 US, €349.
Oh, cheap! Do it.
I know. I kind of want the one in French.
There's
also a Game Boy Color
goose chase with eBay last week. Grant, our friend Carl, who does Rock Band customs and stuff, he was streaming, and for some reason he got a song stuck in his head, and all he could think is "Cold, so cold, we are." Anyone?
The Champions of the World?
No. Cold by Static X. I'll just cut to the chase. And he remembered that it was on a Mountain Dew CD. And we went on this crazy wild goose hunt of searching eBay for Mountain Dew CDs, Static X, whatever we could, and I eventually actually found the only copy on eBay for $18. It was a mini PC CD, and it had 7 MP3s, including Static X's Cold. And Carl was like, "I can't believe you fucking found this."
Holy shit!
Static X being on a Mountain Dew CD is maybe the least surprising thing you've ever told me.
See, what I love is when things are so rare that people don't know to charge a bunch of money for them, and then you find them. That's the real achievement. Is when somebody's like, yeah, man, because I bought the last copy on eBay of Godzilla on the Turbo CD, but I certainly paid a lot of money for it. But it's if you find something that's like that, like a Mountain Dew disc that no one else has, and it's only like $18, then it's like, that's fantastic. But yeah. I actually kind of, there's a little bit of a collecting mission I want to go on when I have steady income again. I just Pernell might like this. I just bought the original Monster Rancher on a PlayStation.
Oh,
yeah! Finally got my own copy. I was looking through the list because somebody who really loved that game as a kid, like, clued me in and was like, "Oh, did you know there's special Easter egg monsters that you can only get with certain retail CDs?" And so that got me to looking at the list, and I was looking at this list of like 90s albums, really like stuff that you would find in the bargain bin nowadays because they were so popular back in the day. A lot of greatest hit CDs and stuff, but they would get you like special monsters in the game. And I'm like, what if I went and collected all these? And so I'm putting together a shopping list of like 90s music I never listened to.
Like what?
And also demo discs. There were like PlayStation demo discs that would get you like unique monsters.
But then there lies the question, right? Like I thought with the whatever version they came out with for Steam and all that, where it's like, how do you get around the fact that we don't have disk drives anymore? They were like, we have a monster repository or something. I assume that all those monsters were stored on there somewhere. Are they not?
I mean, they have to be, yeah, but like I guess you unlock them in the original game with these special discs. They're, like I said, they're Easter egg discs.
Yeah, like long as you have access to the monster type itself. Once you put the disc in, you get it. Otherwise, the game will tell you you're not talent skilled enough to have this monster yet. And you're like, what are you talking about? Of course, I'm skilled enough. And then
I do need to look at that part of it. It's just like this is literally something somebody told me the day that I bought it. I have not even played it yet. Let me see what I found.
What albums are you going to look for this thing?
There's a list. I'm just now pulling it up.
This is so
fun. Also, Monster Repository sounds like another game that would cost $600 on eBay.
Yeah. Monster Repository sounds like a really good band in the vein of Static X.
Or like it's either that or like a Misfits cover band where their gimmick is that they all wear trash cans like Oscar the Grouch.
Oh God.
Okay. So here's some examples. I'm just
open for Static X in Detroit.
I'm just clicking on some random ones in the Monster Rancher wiki shoutouts. You can get a geisha dino if you use the CD Bjork Homogenic. Great album.
Interesting.
I don't own it.
Not where I expected this to start.
Yeah, there's a dino that is called Gallop, which has like racing horse kind of markings on it. If you obtain the CD Patti Smith Horses.
All right, that makes sense.
There's a Golem.
Isn't an REM CD a really good one in the game?
Yeah, there's an REM one.
I think I remember there being like a Union Jack Pixie or something at one point.
Yeah, there's like a few different things like that. There's a golem called Bikini that you can get using the CD The Abbey Road EP by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Bikini.
There is there's 3 pixies that are like I guess they're hot lady monsters, and one of them you get with the CD Van Halen 1984.
All right.
One of them you get by using the CD Madonna Like a Virgin.
I feel like that might have been one of the ones I got because I know I would have had access to that CD somewhere back then.
And then there's one called Bunny that you get from the CD Jackson 5, The Ultimate Collection.
Wait, you don't get Pixies from a Pixies album?
No, apparently not.
That feels like a...
I mean, I don't know. I don't have any Pixies CDs to test with. When I was listening to Pixies, that's when I was borrowing friends' CDs and ripping them myself. So
very good, very good.
You could apparently get a Doodle monster from Floored by Sugar Ray.
Nice.
Yeah, Doodle is. I did have a Doodle. Those things.
There's
are
cool.
Magic Zombie from Spawn.
If I remember correctly, Doodle was It was one of those the I can't remember what it was titled, but it was like a giant slab, but someone drool over its back.
Nice. Okay, there's a bunny, a hare type monster that you can get called Santa, which is a Santa Claus Christmas bunny, and the CD that you use is Mariah Carey Xmas.
Of course. No, we weren't escaping that.
So what you're saying is only one person knows about that, and it's Mariah Carey. Okay.
Pretty much.
Really
Mariah Carey,
Christmas.
noted Monster Rancher enthusiast, Mariah Carey. There's like
big time video gamer Mariah Carey.
And these are the ones I expect to be a little harder to like find, just to find out there, which would be like there's a Milky Way Gali type monster, Gali. I don't know what that means. It's called the Milky Way, and to get it you have to use Next Generation number 36 demo, December 1997. You know,
I think Golly was the weird wizard monster with the cloak and the spinning face.
It is, yeah. It's like a galaxy version of that. I'm just gonna pop that into eBay and see if that's something I can have right now.
If there's a monster wearing a cloak, you'd better have to buy a Candlemass album to get that one to work. Somebody
is selling that exact issue of Next Generation Video Game Magazine with the demo CD for $13 and $10 delivery.
Do it.
Oof. I'm not doing it right now.
I always wonder, like, what would the 1-Up CDs do now?
I can find that out for you. I have them.
Metroid Metal. Grant, what would your CDs create in Monster Rancher?
No idea.
That's what somebody mentioned when I bought it. Like, as the guy I bought it from was at the video game store, but the dude knows me. And he was like, what if like an album that you worked on is like gets you like the best monster in the world? And I'd be like, that would be amazing.
All this talk of CDs had me look up an album that I kind of had on my wish list for a while. The self-titled EP from Breaking Benjamin that was released locally here in 2001. Sealed copy on eBay, $750.
Good Lord.
There's a band, an Austin like metal band called The Sword.
Fuck yeah, dude! I love The Sword.
Yeah, they like used to sell like just stuff around town, and like that stuff's worth hundreds of dollars now. So back because they ended up on Rock Band or whatever, and so it's their star rose as much as any bands could in Austin. They're putting a statue of them next to the statue of Stevie Ray Vaughan now. So
nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Because Stevie Ray Vaughan was in.
I didn't know there was a statue of Stevie Ray Vaughan, which is kind of...
There is. It's downtown, and it's much smaller than an actual person. So you get the sense of it that Stevie Ray Vaughan's like a real short king.
So I have to ask, how sweaty is the statue?
I mean, it is bronze, so
I mean, were they able to capture how fucking that dude was?
There's not like rivulets of sweat pouring down it or anything like that. I guess it was like, first song of the set or something.
You may have to go out there with a spray bottle and like give the man his propers. He was just out there.
I have to imagine there are already people who do that.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Like the guy who toasts Poe's grave on Halloween in Baltimore every year, there's got to be a guy who spritzes down the Stevie Ray Vaughan statue. So it looks appropriately fucking sweaty.
Did you know that towards the end of his short career, he was a bald guy? That hat was covering up a big bald spot.
Did he have hair attached to the witch hat that he would wear?
No, it wasn't a witch hat.
It looked like a witch hat.
It was like a kind of it was kind of like a cheesy cowboy hat. Not cowboy hat, but like I forget what you would call it. It's like the shorter version of that.
But he wasn't pulling a Hulk Hogan with the fake hair?
No, he didn't have the fake hair coming out of it. He just had a big bald spot. There's like studio footage you can watch where he was just there playing, without anything, just normal street clothes on, without his like sashes and, shiny jacket and stuff. And he's just playing. He just looks like a middle-aged dude, even though he's, I think, still in his 20s. No, he was like 35 when he died, I think.
He was quite young.
Don't put bald footage of him out here and he's dead and can't defend himself. That seems mean-spirited. Like,
I mean, it was 1989. The internet wasn't even a thing at the time.
God,
he wouldn't
to return to when you could just wear a hat and no one knew you were bald. Living in a surveillance state fucking sucks.
Most of us on this episode are bald too, so that's
true. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no hope for us at this point, but I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't gonna say, but
I take it the statue is also wearing a hat.
You what?
The Stevie Ray Vaughan statue hat.
It is, yes. The statue is definitely wearing a hat. Yeah.
I'm glad they showed him that much respect at the very least.
Yeah, let me, I guess I'll get
I know we don't need more reasons to shit on Hulk Hogan because he is a piece of shit, but who the fuck is he fooling having fake hair on his bandana that is blonde when all the other hair on him is white as snow? Because he's old.
I'll tell you who he's fooling, because it's who every bald man at some point attempts to fool himself. He is saying, like, as long as I have this stupid do-rag and this wig that makes me look like Riff Raff from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I am still a young and vital man.
It's his dedication to kayfabe. Because he has to continually pretend to be the dumbest shit in the world.
Well,
he doesn't have
the second dumbest shit in the world. Huh?
He doesn't have to pretend.
I was going to say, you stepped on my joke a little when I said, in reality, he's the second dumbest shit in the world.
And we were just hopping all over. We were just hopping over the furniture trying to shit on Hulk Hogan here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not well rested enough to get into the clamor.
Oh, hey, Tim's here. Tim, shit on Hulk Hogan.
He looks terrible. Hogan in Google, the first picture that comes up, he is like bug-eyed. He has like that awful hair sticking out the back of his bandana, as you described. Like,
yeah,
this man needs to go into hiding.
He looks like the surface of Mars. Like, it's not good.
Yeah, it's like not too long ago, like he was still pulling something off, but holy moly.
So,
I mean, if he's pulling something off now, it's fucking carcinomas from his various fucking hotspots, I would imagine.
So it was, apologies for this, but it was hard to find a video of him actually playing the bass guitar, right? Because he's a bassist. He plays the bass. He played on one of his own albums.
He would like you to believe that.
He did play for.
He played with Metallica, brother. Yeah, that's a shoot.
He did play in Metallica shortly before joining Pride, 20 years before it was founded.
Right. So I found a video of him in a club, like just standing in on bass because like somebody kind of called him up on stage and they were just like gonna play some Johnny B. Good or something, like a standard, and so he joined them on bass. I'm sad to say he is pretty good. He was pretty solid.
He also played, I mean, he probably wasn't playing it live. He was probably like mimicking a recording, but he did play bass on Mean Gene Okerlund's cover of Tutti Frutti.
Mm-hmm.
That exists and it's on video, and I will find it.
I mean, that kind of boogie bass like thing that like all of us kind of learn is, it's hard to pull off really well, but like it's pretty easy to kind of fake your way through it. So like, and that's kind of what he was playing for Johnny B. Good as well. It's kind of like, well, it's not bad, so he must have.
I mean, fucking Chuck Berry never used musicians who knew what they were doing, so it's kind of Hulk is doing fine, basically. Kind of.
Yeah, Chuck Berry kind of like always refused to have his own band. Like if you booked him as something, you had to book a band for him.
Or he would just randomly find people because he didn't want to pay them.
Yeah.
That's what
Another depressing music fact is that Steven Seagal is good at guitar.
Boo.
Like legitimately good. He is.
Is he?
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
Did they make one that fits that like can stretch across his fat ass gut so he can reach the neck? And
they got real big guitar straps out there.
I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of real estate, from one end to the other that you got to think about with him.
Yeah, he uses his Aikido to like offset his own weight, and that's
He needs to try a little harder then.
Unlike Grant, I refuse to challenge whether he's any good at guitar or not, because in order to properly know, I would have to hear him play guitar, and there's enough evidence out there that I know I could do it. So therefore, I concede on the refusal to be proven right.
Well, I'll tell you, you can at least take solace in the fact that you can definitely play guitar for longer than Steven Seagal can without getting winded. So, like, hold that close. I guarantee you can. That is not a question in my mind at all.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best guitar players play completely seated. So
Thank you, Tim.
I mean, he would have to be hooked. He would have to be hooked into an oxygen tank, I think, to get through a solo, probably.
Yeah.
God, that picture of Hogan is horrifying.
or he'll just do what he does in all of his movies and have a young guy play the guitar for most of it. Then he comes in at the end.
He looks like his eyeballs are about to fall out of his head.
Yeah.
It's like they're on their way out there.
Yeah, he looks.
It's like the freeze frame right before someone's head explodes in a freaking horror movie.
He does look like he definitely drank from the wrong grail.
That's the Stevie Ray Vaughan statue, by the way.
That is a great way of summing up Hulk Hogan's appearance right now.
I'm fine. I'll be petty. I'll be petty as shit.
He chose poorly.
Yeah.
He looks like he knows. He knows that we're using this picture to make fun of the fact that he's badly hiding baldness.
He has clearly a lot of other problems he's not really dealing with terribly well.
It's interesting too, because I've seen plenty of stuff where he's just not wearing anything on his head. It's just his shining bald head and his wisps of hair just flying around. He's not always hiding it.
Nowadays,
no, but when he was wrestling, because when he was wrestling, he had it written into his contract that you couldn't make fun of him for being bald.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah, that's legit. You couldn't do that. You could not do it. You would get in major league trouble if you did.
Oh, okay. So we would be in jail right now.
No, well, not jail, but we probably, if we were working for, say, WWF in the 80s when he was on top, and we were like, "Hey, Baldy," we would have gotten fired immediately.
We're banned from Collision, so.
So does everyone on this podcast watch wrestling? All of you?
No.
You don't, Chris. You do not.
Mm-mm.
Does the rest of you do? No,
I do.
I do.
No,
I do. Yes.
Okay. So I just asking because I just was thinking of Bam Bam Bigelow because he got a tattoo on his head in the shape of hair.
Yeah.
And I don't watch. I haven't watched. Well, you're of the proper age, so I don't watch wrestling at all. But I used to when I was younger, and probably the same age that you might have paid some attention, Chris, or at least for video game reasons. And I was obsessed with Bam Bam Bigelow. I gotta know, did he suck? Because I was a child.
No, Bam Bam was
fucking great.
Was he? Okay.
In his prime, Bam Bam was a 400-pound, ugly fucking gargoyle of a dude who moved like a 200-pound man.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
He was fucking awesome. He was I have a 5-tool sort of system for determining a good wrestler. I think it's 5.
Wow.
I didn't bother to count before I started this sentence. But first of all, you have to be fat.
Yeah.
You got to be wet.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be really ugly.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You have to be mean.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be deceptively agile.
You know what? You know what is funny about this 5-tier list? Which, by the way, congratulations on having 5 points. This is more than I've cared about anything in my life.
Don't worry, I have not put that kind of thought towards anything meaningful in any way.
That exact criteria, all 5 of those points are exactly what I look for in a blues guitar player.
Oh,
I get that. That actually
very
makes total
nice.
sense. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. If you are all of those things, you are like a king
Blues
of guitar.
god?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that every wrestler, regardless of gender or gender presentation, should at minimum weigh 350 pounds.
Hell yeah.
I think it should be a bunch of big fat dynamos just fucking sweating and bumping all over each other. That is ideally what wrestling would be in a perfect world.
Yeah,
Big sweetie men sweating meat.
Correct.
If you're wearing a like a jumpsuit with fire painted on it, it also is like a good that's like bonus points, right? Maybe. Perhaps.
Yeah, especially if you have flames tattooed on your fucking head.
On your fucking head.
In the
Something
80s,
about
when no one did that shit.
Like Karnov and Bam Bam occupy the same part of my brain, childhood brain, for some reason. I don't know what it is. Big boys in fire. I don't know what it is, but all right.
Big fiery boys. Yeah.
I digress.
Balloon.
We need Matt to chime in.
Big sweetie men sweating meat.
Ah, there he is. It's like he's here in the room with us.
Yes.
I'm dropping into SML chat just so I can drop a whole bunch of Karnovs. Thanks to Grant.
Oh, you bring it. Bring. Oh, you got knobs? You got knobs at the ready? Let me get. In
I got them. Oh, I got.
Looking at this Stevie Ray Vaughan statue here. He looks like
beautiful.
He looks like a pioneer a little bit. Like the Stevie Ray Vaughan statue, because he looks like he's wearing a big night shirt.
Yeah, because he's got that big smock.
He makes it. Yeah, he looks like he arrived into Austin on a covered wagon a little bit.
Yeah, he always tried to put forth that image, I think. When really he was just a guy. He used to hang out with my dad, like he and his brother.
Really?
Yeah, they used to just be around town, before, like, back in the 80s or whatever. They'd just go to clubs, and the way kind of blues clubs would work is that you'd kind of go in and just hang out, and then if you could play guitar or something, you could, like, you'd kind of wriggle your way onto the stage, or if somebody, like, on stage recognized you and stuff, they'd be like, hey, get up here and jam.
Yeah, that's how jazz used to work, too, back in the day.
Yeah, it's still how it works in places like New Orleans and stuff, but Austin used to be more like that. Anyway.
I assume that went away when the tech money ruined everything else in Austin.
Oh, it went away way before that, but
Okay.
but it's 6 feet underground now that the tech thing is taking over all the places. I mean, you go to like small shows and like parties and stuff. It's like you could still just kind of expect to be asked to play something if you're there, but you don't just go out with your guitar on your back and end up playing a show.
That's unfortunate. Luckily, I think New Orleans is still too fucked up and corrupt to really be. I don't think the tech guys can get a foothold there yet, thankfully.
Yeah, it's also not desirable as a place to. For some reason, Austin was like, I don't know.
Probably it must have been it's closer to California, is what I would imagine.
I guess. It's like, I don't know. I can't really speak to all that because I don't have a big non-biased history of the whole thing. I just know it sucks.
I mean, fair, it does suck.
Yeah. But anyway.
I'm glad.
Back to big sweaty wet men.
Yeah, fuck yeah, let's get into it.
Sweetie men.
Big sweetie men sweating meat. That's what people tune into SML podcast to listen to and hear about.
Exactly.
I hope the name of this episode is Big Sweetie Men.
It should be.
I mean,
leave all this in. Don't edit this out in post. Leave it all in.
Apologies to Aki.
Huh? What? I have not been paying attention at all for a while.
If you want to join the Big Sweetie Men, you are certainly welcome to.
It was great.
What kind did you have?
I ate it a while ago. It was chocolate chip cookie dough, and I added a couple handfuls of peanut butter M&Ms to it.
Oh my god!
Nice. I had ice cream earlier as well.
Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, like 2 or 3 of you had fucking ice cream, so I decided I needed to.
I would love some, but I don't have any in the house.
Sad.
I know.
Tim, did you have ice cream?
Doing this podcast and stuff.
I did, yep.
What kind did you have?
Dairy Queen. I had, what's this thing they have at Dairy Queen? Because, they do the dipped cones. They have like one that's like cookies and cream, like the dip is right now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so that was pretty good, yeah.
I need to get a Reese's ice cream cake from them soon.
I had a mix of Fruity Pebbles ice cream and Cinnamon Toast Crunch ice cream from the place down the hill.
Interesting.
I've never even heard of such things.
Pretty tasty on both counts.
Nice. I want a Blizzard now. Damn it.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Son of a bitch. They're in a Dairy Queen probably within like 10 miles of where I live, which is really unfortunate.
I could walk there. There's one real close to my house. I prefer Zestos personally, but
Are you going to go get a Blizzard like right now during the first
pull a Pernell. Just pull a Pernell and just go. Just have the podcast going on your phone.
Pernell's trip to Best Buy is still one of my favorite moments in the history of this show.
Oh yeah, that was. I remember that. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I was there for that.
I was there.
Pernell, what did you think?
What are you guys talking about?
I was there.
Were you there? Did you have fun?
I was there.
What game was it?
It was
Dragon Quest Builders.
Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
On sale at Best Buy, and Pernell just went during the show to Best Buy to get the game while staying on the call the entire time.
It's so good.
It was on sale.
It's so good, Pernell. It's the street. It's the street beat. It's like live. It's live reporting from the scene of the action.
Yeah, he was doing some real shoe leather reporting on that. I would rate that up.
I was out there.
Yeah.
Pernell on the field.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, it was. That was fun though.
What were you buying? My favorite part of that segment was the fact that he would be really good quality at home, and then when he left, it would switch to cell quality. And then when he got to Best Buy, it connected to their Wi-Fi.
It was good
he
again.
was crystal clear again.
Yeah.
Had to get it right.
What did you buy? Do you remember what game it was? I'm sure it's come up a million times, so you must know at this point. Yes.
Oh, it's Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Oh, cool.
It was on, like they said, it was on sale at the time, and someone had brought it up on the show, and then I heard it was on. Then Joe mentioned that it was on sale at Best. I was like, well, I better go get it. I don't want them to run out, so I just went out and I got it. And
we did a live remote segment for SML.
That's right, and I learned
hilarious.
Like one does not need to be tethered to accomplish great things.
Yeah, my soul is a bird. It has to be allowed to fly free.
That's right.
I was reading about all these
what episode this was.
I was reading about all the.
It was the Christmas episode that year. That narrows it down. It was like the last episode of the year, whatever it was.
Yep.
Probably the year Dragon Quest Builders 2 came out.
It's also true, but yeah, you're right. It was definitely like
2019,
like
I guess.
The yearly wrap up or something.
Could be.
I feel like it was 2019 because I was there for the Japanese launch in 2018 in Japan.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was like the prior Christmas. So I wouldn't have been here to do the podcast if it was Christmas of 2018, but 2019 sounds right, like it would be accurate.
And you know for a fact that you were here that day, like you were on the recording that day?
Yes, I definitely remember recording the episode that day. For Bison, it was a Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. That Bison.
I know that's not the quote, but that's my shorthand version of it.
I've been reading all these. I was reading all the articles about people going to like pre-order a Switch 2 in person because you could do that, and a lot of people scored. And the days of the midnight parties and all that stuff. I assume some people will be doing that for in early June for Switch 2, but that was definitely an era. That's the thing people don't go to Best Buy to buy games just in general anymore.
Yeah, they're trying to get people not to.
Now. At this point, I've kind of pivoted back towards Best Buy if I'm going to buy physicals. It's pretty much them in Target now. Like, I don't really do GameStop anymore. I don't do Amazon. It's like Best Buy is like all I've got along with Target. So,
yeah.
Like, that's assuming I'm even getting physical games because at this point, they're totally trying to phase them out on us. So, where do you guys go get your games at?
I just buy them digital anymore, really.
I'm getting more towards wanting to just do that too because I'm out of freaking space.
I haven't bought a new game in 2025 yet, but I've just been kind of doing the Amazon thing.
Yeah, I'll order online or I'll pre-order and pick up locally if it's going to be around. But anymore if I'm buying physically, I'm excited and I want to get it soon. And I also try to buy from my local shop, but they tend to get games like a week later.
Yeah, we don't really have a good local place for new games. We have good places for old games, but yeah, not really local new video game stores. They kind of all got run out. And all the other places tend to be kind of incompetent, so I'm just like, well, I'm just going to risk Amazon misdelivering this to my neighbor and just hope I can get to it in time.
I am buying physical though. I'm selling. I'm not collecting anymore, so I'm selling most of the games I get, and I'll buy used and sell for the same price, and it ends up going pretty well, you know. So I'm, it doesn't work for indie games, but it works for the $60, soon to be $80 bangers. So,
right? Yeah.
You know.
Which game were they saying was supposed to be $80? Was it a Borderlands?
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart.
That's the first one.
Because it's Mario Kart.
But yeah, just today, Randy Pitchford was like, Borderlands, I can't control the price, and if you're a real fan, you'll find out a way to afford $80.
Actually, Randy Pitchford, you can control the price. You, in particular, have some of that power.
Yeah, what people like to forget is, like, I can wait for sales just as much as the next guy. I don't need your game on release day. Never did. So...
I do.
I bought.
Well, in that case, Randy
Pernell's over here like desire is the root of all suffering.
Randy Pitchford was talking to you.
I bought like a ultimate collection.
Yeah, but Pitchford was talking to you.
I bought like an ultimate collection of like the first two Borderlands and like this other Borderlands that's not 3, but it's also not one of the first two, for like $5 on a sale once.
Sequel.
Yeah, pre-sequel. And yeah, I got all 3 of those for like $5 one time on a sale on the eShop. So I was like, I might as well try Borderlands. I admittedly have not yet.
You never did try it. I've never tried one either. I feel like I may even own the second one. I feel like it was just in every bundle ever for a while, but I've still never tried it.
Yeah, I just had this itch. I was like, I want to try a first-person shooter that I have, because I've fallen so far behind on those. I think the only one I ever liked a lot enough to like really play through it was Serious Sam. Back in the Xbox days. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Serious was he?
Not very. Turns out it's ironic. But
laid back Sam.
Yeah. But yeah, that was I really liked that one back 20 plus years ago, but like it's just kind of I like playing first person shooters. I just hadn't really found like any that I really wanted to latch onto in the ensuing 2 decades.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So I bought a whole stack of them. When the inspiration strikes, I might actually play them.
What do you think of the new Doom that just came out?
Oh, I haven't played them. I barely played the old Doom.
I was wondering if it would get reviewed today, because I have thoughts on the new Doom, which we could do.
Did you get it?
It's on Game Pass. It's on Game Pass. Yeah, it's on Game Pass. So I don't know. Did you try it?
I didn't.
No, I have not yet. I figure I'll get it when it goes on sale because I'm starting to slowly just accept that sometimes I'm going to have to just buy digital games at their full price or whatever. But that also means that I'm going to be more picky about it. So in that particular case, I hadn't decided on how much I want to spend on that one yet.
Yeah.
I could always just go back and play Doom Eternal again.
Yeah, I made it. I've finished the 7th of like 22 levels, and I think I'm done.
They actually let you know how many levels are in the game from the jump, or was it like somebody mentioned it on something else?
No, it's just like you finish missions, you end levels just like all the Dooms. They've kept that. So
okay.
But I think I'm good.
I'd still like to hear your thoughts on it, even if we don't have a review copy, because I'm curious.
The quick thing is I just feel like it's it feels like a Quake game. It's like it starts like a Call of Duty. There are factions, there are humans, there's stuff coming from space. You're wearing fur and you have a giant shield, but there's all kinds of sci-fi in there. And like you are sort of a slave to this religious community. You've been sort of brainwashed into only feeling hate, and that's why you're fighting. But as you're playing the game, you know that because you're watching cutscenes. So then, as you're playing as this character, it doesn't make any sense because you're like, you know that you're brainwashed. It's really strange. I know it sounds weird. I will say, the new Doom plays great. It's super tight. Controls awesome. But it's just a little weird. It doesn't feel quite like Doom, and also it's so over designed. Like everything has so much detail. I feel like everything looks the same. All the demons kind of look the same, and everything's the same color. And so it's just kind of like it feels a bit repetitive. And I think I need to go back and play the original 2016 game just to kind of compare, because I feel like that game like blew my mind. But then again, it was also 9 years ago. And so maybe my expectations are kind of off, but it's really pretty in the way that it's pretty. But I don't know, it doesn't quite feel like a Doom game to me, and it's kind of a lot. It's repetitive, and so I kind of hit a wall with it. It seems to be reviewing really well. So that's my take. There's my hot take.
I appreciate that take too.
Yeah, give it a shot. It's on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass.
I am still slowly slogging my way through Avowed. I hate that I can't play games for like more than a half hour anymore because of my arm.
Oh, yeah.
Is it healing at all?
Not really, no. I have an appointment next Thursday to see if I'm getting surgery or not, but we'll find out.
Could you play with like an arcade stick? Like a different position? You know, like a repetitive injury. You know, like you're not having the claw position. I wonder if you could. I don't even know if you could make Avowed work with a fight stick. But I'm just trying to think of like what might help.
I don't even know what they have on Xbox for that, but I don't know. Anyway, are y'all ready to talk reviews? We got a bunch of games to talk about tonight.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm ready. I have to be the most ready. There is an adaptive controller. Xbox has an adaptive controller.
Yeah.
So
I'm the second most ready. I just finished a bag of chips.
Yeah.
Yay. All right, Tim, you ready?
Also, I just posted a video of the Donkey Kong mascot Universal coming out to Batista's theme. Let's go.
Where did you post that?
It's in the general chat. It's on the Discord. You don't watch it now. We're doing a show.
No,
it's a little treat for later.
Okie doke. First game to talk about tonight is Capcom Fighting Collection 2, developed and published by Capcom, provided to us by Capcom for the Capcom of the Capcom. Released May 16th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5, PC for $39.99. Capcom's new Fighting Collection hits the stage. Choose from fan favorite games like Capcom vs. SNK 2, Mark of the Millennium 2001, and Project Justice, to 3D action games like Power Stone and Power Stone 2. In this collection of 8 classic fighting games. Tim, tell us about Capcom Fighting Collection 2.
You know, it's funny. I almost apologized for being late because for somewhere in my brain, I was it's been a long day, but I was like, oh, right. The show starts at 10 because that's what we used to do years ago. Which is why if you didn't hear me talk very much in the first half hour, it's because I wasn't here. And then I had an epiphany just on the couch playing Expedition 33, which rules. That oh shit, I'm late for something. But as it turns out, I'm not. It's 10 o'clock. Let's talk about games, baby. All right, we are talking about Capcom Fighting Collection 2. You might remember Capcom Fighting Collection 1, not the Marvel one. That was last year. That was different. That was the Marvel versus Capcom Fighting Collection, or Marvel and Capcom Fighting Collection. A couple of years ago, they had the first Fighting Collection, which was mostly Darkstalkers games and Cyberbot and freaking Red Earth. Put a pin in that one. And Hyper Street Fighter 2. But yeah, they've just been rolling out the bangers. So yeah, 8 games on here. For me, oh man, Project Justice is a top 5 fighting game of all time for me. I played the shit out of that game on the Dreamcast, which up until this point was the only American console that game ever got released on. So it's been a while, but that game, that is the Project Justice is the sequel to Rival Schools, which was out on PlayStation 1 way back in the day. Like, it is Capcom's swing at a 3D fighter with an anime high school setting, and I just think the whole thing feels really good. I think it's like just goofy enough kind of in its setting. I really like the combo system. I think Project Justice, I think the look of it is phenomenal. Like, the characters look really clean and sharp. They did 25 years ago on the Dreamcast. They still do now. Just like the combo system feels good. I like running through the story mode with the different characters or different factions, because everyone's kind of like cordoned off by school, almost like King of Fighters, except instead of a country, it's a school. And there's weirdos. There's like, the school that's like all sports people, and the one that's like all like street motorcycle people, and the one that's like weirdly evil villain school. My leg's bleeding for some reason. We'll deal with that later. But I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I was just like kind of like scratching my leg, and then I realized like, oh, that's blood. So something happened there. I don't know what. Not important. There's no blood in Project Justice. You can air combo juggle. I got real good at Project Justice.
Blowing right past the hole he dug in his own leg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is just like, hey, this is I'm like in true John Moxley fashion. I'm blading in the first 3 minutes of the review, and I'm just going to keep going. I'm dripping all over this thing. So yeah, Project Justice. Yeah, like it's you pick a team of fighters, and it's KOF style where you're not tagging people in actively. Though it does have like combo supers, but you can switch characters between rounds. You don't have to go all three on the other team. And yeah, Project Justice. It was a hard to find game on Dreamcast. Like when they announced this, I sold my copy that I had for years for like $200 some odd. So yeah, really, Project Justice is on here.
There's for $150.
Yeah, Project Justice is on here, and it's only a $40 collection. So there you go, buy it. Done. Project Justice. That's all you need. There's other stuff on here too. All right. So yeah, but I really like Project Justice, and I was sold. But this whole thing, not the whole thing. There's a lot of bangers on this collection. I think the headliners for most people are going to be Capcom SNK 2 and Power Stone 2. Also, just like tons of games that have just kind of been out there in the ether and not available on modern consoles. It's really, the total list is Plasma Sword, which is okay. The first Power Stone, which is okay. Power Stone 2, which is a buttload of fun. Capcom SNK, which most people prefer Capcom SNK 2. I still think Capcom vs. SNK 1 is very good and very fun. Capcom SNK 2, of course, that's just such a seminal fighting game from that era. Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, which is the arcade version of the PlayStation 1 roster of characters. So they just took like the extra characters they'd put in the home version, then put them back in the arcade. So it's actually kind of a less good version of the PlayStation game because it doesn't have like the single player world tour mode, but whatever. That's not what we're here for, really. And then Capcom Fighting Evolution, which is fucking bad. But that's fine because there's this other Capcom Fighting Evolution. Nobody really. It's kind of Capcom versus Capcom, where they grab characters from Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 3, 3 Street Fighter games. It's it's the Ryu. Ryu is under the Street Fighter 2 group, but it's the sprite from 3. Chun-Li is in the 3 group, I want to say. The alpha characters are alpha characters, so that they're fine. And then Darkstalkers, and then Red Earth. Oh, hey, Red Earth is back. Because this was a game in 2004 that made people go, what the hell is Red Earth? Super obscure Capcom fighting game. But yeah, Capcom Fighting Evolution is just weird and not great and not the reason you're here. The reason you're here is for that other swath of games, which I played all on the Dreamcast back in the day. I wish they'd kick Capcom Fighting Evolution to the curb and put like Techromancer on here. That's like my only note. But these collections, they pretty much got it down to a science now. They're not like incredibly lavish. with their extras. You get some, artwork. You get music players to just run through the soundtracks if you want to do that. These are, arcade versions of the games, generally speaking. They're just not like a lot of like single home, the stuff they would add for home ports to give them a little bit more value. So no like expansive single player modes. Like you are here for the fighting. But it's, these are great games. So that's good. And they all have, good online play, which is what you want, because then people can be online playing these games, keeping those communities alive. Power, let's talk a little bit here. Plasma Sword, that's a 3D fighter that's, I don't know, like what they're going for with that. It's kind of a little bit weapon based. There's a lot of characters in it. There's like 20 some characters. So it's something fun to just kind of like sit down with a friend and just play a bunch of weirdo characters and be like, look at that game. The Power Stone games are kind of like Smash Brothers in that they're except it's 3D. So it's kind of a bit of a more casual arena brawler, like lots and lots of items around. That is one of the tragic losses, I guess, sort of. Power Stone 2 for Dreamcast had this whole like single player where you'd collect items and then fuse new weapons and stuff like that. It's kind of a bummer that's gone, but it was also tedious to go through and grind out all those items. And instead, just all the items are available anyway. So whatever. And Power Stone 2 is probably the one you're going to play more. It has more interesting stages. It has more characters to play as. It's just a lot of fun. It's not really, there's not like a ton of depth to it. It's just fun. Like if you're sitting down to play fighting games for a night with people, you're going to want to get in there and play like 4-player Power Stone 2 probably for like an hour and then get into other stuff. The Capcom SNK games, those are classics, especially Capcom SNK 2. That has an incredible like classic soundtrack to it. And just really holds up as a top tier 2D fighter. Street Fighter Alpha 3, that's also in my top 5 fighting games of all time. I just love Alpha 3. And this is just a great version of it, just minus the single player home stuff. And then there's Capcom Fighting Evolution, which again, not good. But on the strength of even just Capcom SNK 2, Alpha 3, Project Justice, Power Stone 2, this collection is worth it. And then you kind of get the other stuff in there too that is good to interesting enough. I don't know where Capcom goes from here with rounding up their old fighting games, but this one was special to me just because it has so much stuff that I played on Dreamcast with my friends back in the early 2000s. Like it is a murderer's row of those games, and I was so excited to get them playable, much less all in the same package.
Sounds like you enjoyed this one, yes?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, there's a $40 package. We already know your verdict based on friggin' Project Justice alone.
Yeah, Project Justice alone. But yeah, no, I went out and I bought the Switch version. So I have it physically. This is a game that I want the physical version. We've seen, I don't think this collection is in danger of being delisted compared to something like the Marvel collection, which I might be a little worried about in like 10 years when licenses run out. But I went and bought a physical copy of that too. I got this on Switch, so I have it portably. I have a physical copy. I have these games available now forever, so long as that cartridge lasts. The physical version also comes with a download key for the soundtrack and a little comic book, little Capcom SNK comic book in there. So some nice Very physical cool. bonuses for $40. So well worth going in and seeking out a physical copy of this one. But equally good to purchase. Just if you're just going to buy it digital, it's worth it.
Very nice. All right, Tim, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us.
Heck, again, next time they do a fighting collection, I guess I'll be back, because the last time I was on, it was for the Marvel one. But
this is the most energized I've ever heard you sound, Tim. Or did you like a bump before you came on the show?
well, hey, I gotta, this is podcast me, not like casual watching wrestling with me.
Not watching wrestling late at night.
I think I'd be
dad, Tim.
Yeah, I think I'd be unbearable if I was this energetic for wrestling. I mean, I'll try to turn on podcast Tim for Dynamite tomorrow night, but
this is morning radio booger sugar Tim. Apparently, this is a new version. I was not prepared.
Different skill set. I've been podcasting for 20 years. I can turn it on and off.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, and my so I'll brag a little bit. The reason we stopped to get ice cream. So my kid had his first travel soccer game tonight, and they lost horribly, but dramatically. Like it was 0-10 against this team that had clearly been playing together for a while, and he's like this ragtag team that kind of just came together. But my proud dad, my kid persevered and never gave up, and he freaking put one in the goal in like the last couple minutes of the game, so it wasn't a total shutout. And he also scored like 5 goals in his house game on Saturday. Yeah, it's weird being like, is my kid kind of good at soccer? I mean, like, I don't think he's gonna be in the major or anything, but just like he's the only one that scored a goal for his team. Like,
way to have reasonable dad proudness.
Yeah, some reasonable dad proudness. It's like, man, he's doing really well out there. I'm proud of that kid. So we had to get him some ice cream. He was crying tears of joy from scoring a goal because everyone was like piling on him and hugging him, giving him his props. So, yeah, it was great. Proud dad moment.
Good for him. Yeah, that definitely deserves ice cream.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to get Speedball to do another cameo to congratulate him.
God, Speedball. Just maybe ESW can book him some point, but probably a little bit too valuable now to be wandering back.
Know.
You never know.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Blake Christian, Vanilla Baby.
Oh boy. All right, but yeah. No, I bid you all good night. Enjoy your reviews.
Take care, Tim.
Good night.
Good night, Tim.
Later.
All right, next game, Blades of Fire, developed by MercurySteam, published by 505 Games, released May 22nd, Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and Epic Games Store for $59.99. From the award-winning studio MercurySteam comes a new action-adventure where you forge your own weapons and face fierce enemies in a unique combat system. Join Aran Delira on his journey to find the real purpose of his fate. Chris, what is Blades of Fire?
That reminds me of The Jerk. I found out what my purpose is for. Anybody who
movie.
Yeah, anybody who remembers that one.
I don't know that one.
You don't know The Jerk?
Oh, The Jerk. Is that what it's? I know The Jerk.
With Steve Martin. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, you couldn't make that movie anymore. It's like, yeah, they already made it back in the 70s. It's called The Jerk. Anyway. Okay, yeah, so Blades of Fire, a game that is not a helicopter-based shmup like I thought it would be. So this is a third-person action RPG. Think like maybe in the God of War kind of vein, right? Okay, so you play this guy called Aaron who spells his name in a weird way, which is the way all Aarons do to sound cool. It's nice to already have a name that's like spelled weird so that you spell it like kind of normal and like suddenly you're the weird one. So he's Aran. So Aran Delira is a blacksmith who just smiths out in the middle of the woods. Seems like that's not the place you would want a hot, fiery bunch of metal like all the time. Sure enough, within the first act, his house catches fire. So, like, you know, I was right. No, it's because of plot, but I'm not going to explain the plot that much, and neither is the game. So be ready for that. He basically runs afoul of a new queen who has been crowned, who can turn steel into stone. I don't know how that works, but I kind of like it. Okay, I am going to explain like one bit of the plot, and it's within the first 5 minutes, so y'all can you can close your eyes if you like, so you don't hear me talk about this. But it's he meets up. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forget this is a sleepy podcast. So so you meet a kid called Adso, and through circumstances he ends up kind of following you and being like your boy, like that kind of situation, like in the God of War. He's like, write that thing down for me, boy. Like that kind of situation, except that this guy's a lot nicer than the God of War guy. But yeah, he's also got a touch of gray in the beard. He always that's how you know it's a Western RPG, is he's not a 14-year-old anime. He is in fact a middle-aged guy with extremely nice hair. So yeah, they're both. The perspective switches to Adso for a bit, right? So that he can think about his situation, and then while he's sleeping, the door to the barn opens. It's Aaron. The outside is on fire, and he says, "Come on, I have to go kill the queen." And then they both start to leave, and then Aaron turns around to dramatically set his own house on fire when the woods are already on fire. So it's like his house is about to burn down, but he's like, I gotta throw the torch on this house. And then they embark on their adventure. There's no explanation given as to why he has to light his own house on fire, but that's the game. You basically set up base at at the start of a scene of violence. So, like, there's a house in this town that you set up base at, and you can have Adso tag along with you, and he will document everything about the enemy so that you can learn more about their weaknesses and stuff. Or you can just send him back to the base if you just want to, not have to talk to anybody, which definitely felt. And yeah, you just go around and you murder all the queen's dogs or hounds or whatever. They're kind of, she's, I guess, turned her army of formerly competent human soldiers into this kind of lumbering mass of like goblins and whatnot, including some, fantasy trope enemies like troll, and then some other enemies that are like really interesting, like a cart full of goblins, for instance, that you have to kind of fight as one unit. And yeah, so this is the basic bones of like the action, is that you go from scene to scene, set up camp, and then you kind of go in, try and close in on that castle so that your dude can kill the president. I mean the queen. And here's the whole thing though, is that I would say a good part of this game is the forging system. Your guy's a blacksmith again. He doesn't even seem to have any customers. He just really seems to like being out in the middle of the woods, pounding away at this at metal, not making any weapons because he doesn't take any with him. The first weapon that you get is gotten off of another character and is already pre-made, and then you have to make all the other weapons yourself. So God knows what he was actually forging at any point. But that's the whole linchpin of like the game's like crafting system, is that you basically have access to a magical forge being looked over by like a 400-foot pervert god who just watches you do everything. And you basically gather blueprints for new weapons throughout the game's action scenes, usually by just killing a number of enemies who already wield the weapon. I don't know how that works, but like you kill like 5 spear guys, right? And now you have a blueprint for spears. And then anytime you visit the forges, which also serve as save spots, so they're kind of dotted around in places they shouldn't be. It's just like, here's an anvil, it's a magical forge, and if you pound this forge, you will be teleported to the actual forge where, again, under the big kaiju forge man, you can, make your new weapons. So making the new weapons is its own mini game. You actually do craft these weapons. You have to use the sticks to like move these kind of cursors around, and there's a little kind of you'll see like this outline of the weapon, right? And there's a lot of little blocks underneath it, and these blocks raise or lower depending on whether you've hit them or the ones neighboring them. So as you hit like one end, like the blocks like next to it are going to come up, and then you got to pound those down, and then you got to try your best to make the overall shape fit the outline. The reward for this is that you get star ratings on your weapons, and the more stars you get, the more you can instantly repair the item if it degrades. I don't think it affects the actual like damage power or anything like that of the weapon. I didn't really get into it enough to like know whether that's a thing, but it definitely lets you repair the weapon, and repair it you will need to do, because in order to get more materials to create more weapons, on top of defeating the enemies that have the blueprint, you have to smash up random barrels that are just everywhere, and wagons of hay, but not bales of hay. If a hay is baled and is just sitting there, you can't destroy it. But if it is sitting in a wagon, also already baled, you can definitely destroy it. So it's like selectively destructible environment. And just about anything that you smash up, which, by the way, they go into like that kind of smash physics where it's like a piece of barrel might get stuck in a wall and just start jittering. That takes some people out of the immersion, but for me, I always delight in that. I always like to see what kind of messed up things, environmental destruction does. So, you're smashing through all this stuff, and as you smash through all that stuff, you are damaging your weapon. Your weapon is eventually going to not work anymore or break, and you'll need to repair it. If you repair it, it takes away one of your stars. So in order to save on materials, you will definitely want to make weapons that will last longer. So it's definitely within your interest to get good at the forging part. However, as much as I worried about getting good at the forging part, I didn't realize that this is actually a get good game. It's a Souls-like. You have to get much, much, much better at the combat than you ever do at the forge. This is one of those games where it has those like random things that make you think, oh, they're copying somebody here. Why do I only have 3 potions? And they always, the 3 potions refill when I hit up an anvil, but it causes all the enemies to respawn. Where have I seen this before? Oh, look at that. 1 hit of L1 to duck and 2 to roll, and I'm invincible while I'm rolling. Where have I seen this before? It's like the combat is really lifted from that particular set of games, and I was not expecting that. That's where I kind of floundered in the game, because I'm not that good at those kind of things, and I set it on the easiest difficulty and got my ass handed to me routinely. Just like in those games, when you die, you leave your weapon where you died. So he sticks his like sword in the ground. The sword turns into stone. There's the plot. See, the queen can turn steel into stone. And then you have to go and just touch the item, just touch the weapon, and it's back in your inventory. So it's not a big deal, but you do lose your weapon if you get killed holding it. So the first part of the game is really tough because you really only have access to like a couple of recipes. I got a sword and I was like, finally, I don't have to swing around this big hammer, what I got initially. The hammer was doing good damage, but now the sword is going to be faster. And I still got my ass handed to me. Luckily, there is a good system in place for getting good. For one, you can like kind of target with certain swings different parts of the enemy, and different enemies have different parts that are weaker or more open. So you kind of can plan out your strategy there. It also has this thing where if you target the enemies, which the game does have targeting, both auto-targeting and manual targeting, and you can invert the camera. Like, they've got a lot of controls in place to help you out here. If you target the enemy, then you'll tell by the color, green, yellow, or red, whether your weapon that you have equipped is going to be effective against them or not. So blunt weapons don't work against certain enemies, but stabby weapons do. So it's really the kind of game where, just like with the forging, you kind of have to carefully measure and, sort of learn about the enemies. Of course, also your little companion will write about the enemies as you fight them, and you'll learn more and more about like how to effectively take them out and stuff. So yeah, it's not just a rolling around punching everybody in the head kind of thing and then making some weapons eventually. This is like a real game of like strategy and like intention. And what I like about it too is that it's not just enemies shooting lasers at you and you dodge roll them. Like, you know, they do kind of move in certain predictable patterns, but a lot of it you're like really getting, you know, in there and getting down and dirty with them. And it feels pretty realistic in terms of like, you know, what it is. So that's kind of cool. Like, again, I didn't fare so well with it, but I definitely see where, you know, even though they are lifting a system from a popular series of games, which, you know, why not? I kind of wish they would have lifted from a different game that I'm better at playing. But anyways, all that to say, I love the forging system. I actually got really into that one. It's really fun to like figure out like how the different hammer strikes and how the different positions like kind of affect things. You get really cool recipes in this game, you know, for everything, you know, from like, you know, curved swords. That's a Skyrim reference. So like, you know, big old axes and like glow in the dark big hammers and like, you know, cool things like that. Like you get a lot of like I had this not a dictionary, an encyclopedia type thing as a little kid that was like illustrated, and I loved to look over the swords section because it would just show all the different shapes of swords. And when I look through like the recipes in this game and like all the options that you can do, because you can, even within the recipes, you can change like the curvature of a blade or like the thinness of a blade in a certain part, and it shows you like how that affects the stats and stuff. You can really nerd out on the weapons in this. It's not just you know, do a recipe, follow the, you know, paint by numbers, and then you got a new sword. It's like you can really get into this. Yeah, I really like that part, and the presentation of the game is amazing. I really love the graphics. Like, if you look through screenshots and videos of it, you can kind of tell it's like it's definitely. I mean, it feels new. It feels modern and very well polished. The story again is a little silly. I kind of like that about it. It doesn't. You know, the lore is in basically learning about enemies and like the world around you as you play it. It's again that's kind of based on some other games, but if you just choose to ignore all that, it's basically, like I said, going from action scene to action scene and just kind of letting the thing play out. So I like that about it. Music's great. It's like, it's aesthetically such a cool game. Again, I'm just kind of like over here, like, why 3 potions, you know, that restore when you go to the anvil and, like, you know, save your game, that respawns you. You know, no experience points or anything like that. It's like, you know, you kind of grow your character and get him to be better at certain weapons through, it seems like it's through events, you know, like just when you get to a certain part of the game. Whereas I myself, I like to have the opportunity to kind of grind my character a little bit. But, you know, again, it's nothing that's a big deal. I think this is a very good game. It's just, you know, it is definitely different, although I wouldn't go so far as to say unique.
Womp womp. All right, we got to talk about price. It is a $60 game. Give us your thoughts.
Well, what a bargain. It's not $80, so go buy
it. That's fair.
Yeah, I would buy this game for $60. Absolutely. I would probably be like, oh man, it's not really like an RPG, is it? But I'd still be like, well, I'm playing it anyway.
Is this the first MercurySteam game in 3D? Like, if they made Metroid Dread, you know?
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I had a lot of struggles with Metroid Dread. That makes sense.
I don't know what Space Lords is, but they made that too. They did like they did the Metroid 2 remake, and they did Dread.
Lords of Shadow.
Oh, they did Lords of Shadow. That's right. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I didn't even research that much into it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That explains a lot about these, actually, then, to me.
All right, let's move on. Next game, Best Served Cold, developed and published by Rogueside. Released May 5th on Steam for $17.99. Can you mix a cocktail while eye to eye with a criminal? Find out in Best Served Cold, a murder mystery set in a bustling speakeasy where you serve customers, make friends and enemies, and solve crimes. At Nightcap Bar, Prohibition is a killer, and so are some of your customers. Dave, tell us about Best Served Cold.
Thank you, I will. I don't know if I can quite match the energy levels of Cocaine Timothy from earlier, but I will certainly try. Hello, listeners and guests.
I say, can you match the energy of Crackhead Chris over here?
Also, probably not. But I will try. Anyway, hello, listeners. Yes. Welcome back to SML, the Send Me Letters podcast, the only podcast that preserves the art of handwritten correspondence, at least while we still have a postal service. I'm here this evening to talk about Best Served Cold, a game in which you play a speakeasy bartender in a fake Eastern European city where a serial killer has been targeting female patrons of illegal speakeasies. Really wraps itself up in a neat little package there. Your character has a pretty shady past, as any post-Soviet speakeasy bartender would. And this is leveraged against you by the police, it figures, who agree not to shut down the speakeasy if you help them investigate those aforementioned serial murders. You do this by getting your eclectic patrons drunk and casually interrogating them, gathering and assembling clues, and determining the killer's identity through amateur deduction. To get people drunk, you mix drinks for them based on their preferences and how drunk they need to get to start talking to you. You also need to be mindful of dialogue trees, going for blunt or subtle questioning as the situation demands. Mixing drinks, which you do a lot in this game. That is sort of the central conceit, that and talking to people. You do that via a mini game. Every drink has a unique shape to trace with your cursor.
Unique.
Did I miss something?
No, it's a thing we do.
Okay. Anyway,
Call it a vocal tick.
Okay, of course. Let me start over. Every drink has a unique shape to trace with your cursor.
There it is. Bring it.
Before a computer-controlled red arrow catches up with it. If it does, you screw up the drink and annoy your customer. Sometimes you actually want to do this, but for the most part, you don't. I cannot stress enough that you need a really good, really steady mouse for this minigame to work. Otherwise, it gets really frustrating really fast. Ask me how I know. That said...
How do you know?
Because my mouse is a piece of shit.
Okay.
That said, that's not the game's fault, although I am blaming it. And the characters are varied and well-written. Some customers want witty banter. Some want you to kiss their ass. Some just want you to be nice to them. Interrogation is often a very repetitive aspect of games like this, but Best Served Cold does a pretty good job making it engaging. You do have to have some talent for reading people to succeed at it, which, fuck off. If I was any good at that, I wouldn't be escaping into video games in the first place. But I do appreciate and commend the attention to detail. What I like the most about this game, actually, is it does have a lot going for it. It does, and this may seem a little obvious, but it feels like a game. It's not a visual novel, which I thought it was going to be honest. It's not trying to be a part-time job. It's a game. It has challenging situations and stakes and unique mechanics, but it's not trying to, take over or re-simulate parts of my life. You know what I mean? It's something you can play for, an hour or two and then reach a point where you get frustrated because your mouse is a piece of shit and then stop and not, feel bad about it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it rewards attention and thought, which I really like. I wish it rewarded failure a bit more, but that is because I, say it with me, suck at video games. Real bad.
Suck at video. Oh, sorry.
Well, one of you tried. But much like my shitty mouse, my inability to play most video games well is not the game's fault. Best Served Cold is honestly pretty rad.
Very cool. It is an $18 game. Tell us your thoughts on that.
Well, it is, if I'm doing the math correctly, that is less money than $80.
It is.
So, by that rubric, I would say it is a steal. I would wait. I'd wait for a sale. I'd buy it at like 15. I think that's a good price point for this game. 18 seems a little steep, but I'm also a notorious cheapskate.
So would you say that this game is best served old?
Yeah, that's the sequel where you're trying to find a serial killer in a nursing home.
At an old folks' home.
Fuck you! That joke was great. How dare you? Thank you. That felt more deserved.
Yay!
Yeah, I'd say 15 is probably a better price.
Cool.
I just saw that the unique number's at 438. That's amazing. I guess 439 now.
Yeah, well,
I haven't looked at it in so long. What have I wrought?
We might as well tell you, we have a running thing where the word unique is well overused in video games.
Oh, he doesn't know this. I like this.
And every time we come and hear the word unique, we call it out. Yeah.
We just whisper it because it gives it an echo effect of like everybody kind of chiming in. Unique. That's kind of the effect we're going for. But since we always might mute our mics and stuff, sometimes it takes about a 5 to 10 second delay to like get to unmute and then be like, unique.
By which point they're probably like a sentence or two ahead.
Yep.
Right, exactly. So it kind of it ends up being really distracting, but it's not a punishment. It's more like just being silly. It's more like we're just making fun of like reviewers who lean on that word way too much. I mean, there's a whole laundry list of words that you'll always see in reviews and stuff, but that's the one that we kind of latched onto. And when we're not on the air, I'll explain why.
Fair enough. That's the first time I've gotten this treatment, so I assume I'm doing pretty good on that.
We like to call out when Steam pages or like Xbox pages overuse it as well. Like if there's 4 uses, I will read all of them on the show.
Yeah. And there are sometimes.
Yeah. And Aki keeps track with our Twitch bot. And since October 2022,
add one more to it.
440 uses.
Wow.
And that's not
over 3 years. It's not terrible.
No, it's really not. Bad. I mean, it's you'd ideally want it to be more like 10, but
one of their primary reasons for still doing it, I am convinced, is because it fucking annoys me.
I mean, probably.
I am convinced Joe does it specifically to drive me out of my fucking mind.
There's precedent.
There's precedent. Read what's here.
It's your. I blame you. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying I'm blaming you. That's good enough for me.
That sounds fair.
Well, Dave, we want to thank you for coming on. Checking out Best Served Cold.
Dave. Love the energy.
This was fun. No, I do what I can.
You did well.
I'm just a man wondering when his late night ice cream snack is going to turn south on him. Probably any minute now.
So much ice cream talk. I just can't.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
I might get another bowl.
I'm gonna get like fast food after this, and I'm probably gonna get a milkshake, even though I should not. But I'm off tomorrow. What do I care?
All I'm saying is it's a good thing I went third, because if I'd gone fourth, this review might have just been me screaming from the bathroom. So,
Nice.
Which is great note to end on.
Screaming from the Bathroom is a great band name. I'm going to add that to my keep talk. That's actually
really good. Yeah.
It also describes our sound. I'll leave on this, actually, because it is kind of relevant. I don't know. Is anyone here a fan of the band Slade? The British sort of junk shop glam band. Anyone? Bueller?
Not familiar with
so.
I'm doing that kind of smile, which is where I'm pretending to know what you're talking about and like nodding.
Cool. I mean, I can't see it, so I'm glad you went through the effort of describing it.
It's the podcast format.
It's true. That's why we're all here. It's theater of the mind. So a music reviewer, possibly while using the word unique, I don't know, said that the singer for Slade sounded like Paul McCartney screaming down a chimney. Which is maybe the best way of describing a man with a limited vocal range, at least that I've ever heard.
That gets me interested in the band. Now I got to check them out. Slade, Slade?
Yeah, Slade fucking rules. They're really, really good.
Oh, I've heard of Slade.
I was gonna say like the ninja from Shining Force 2.
I'm sure one of them is named after the other one. I just couldn't tell you which.
Yeah, the old band. I totally know who this is.
Yeah, they do the Merry Christmas Everybody, which is like the big. That's like England's version of the Mariah Carey Christmas song. That's the one you hear everywhere.
I like it.
All right, Dave, take it easy.
Yep, I'm going to bed. Good night, guys.
Nighty night.
Next game to talk about is Shovel Knight Dig, developed by Nitrome and Yacht Club Games, published by Yacht Club Games, released May 15th on the Series XS and PS5 for $24.99. Meet new friends and foes, visit strange lands, and outfit yourself in your quest to keep the entire land from collapsing underfoot. Jump, slash, and dig your way down an ever-changing chasm of mystery in Shovel Knight Dig, an all-new Shovel Knight adventure. Chris and Grant, both of you check this out. Who wants to start?
I'm going to vote on Grant just because it's his only review for the night.
Oh, that's fine. Team effort. I mean, I can kick it off, but yeah, I love we should do what we should do. We should just like one of us will start talking and then, Joe farts and then we switch people. Like we pick up the story.
Whoa.
Let's not do
We're
that.
We're going to whose line this?
Oh, yeah, let's
change.
Not.
Reviews from a hat.
And change. Shovel Knight Dig. So this is actually a game that I came out almost 3 years ago, which I did not realize that. I remember hearing about it, but I haven't kept up as much with the Shovel Knight stuff. But it hit PC a little under 3 years ago, and it just made its way to consoles. It is a game that sort of takes on a bit more of an SNES style graphics aesthetic as opposed to the original Shovel Knight, which is way more 8-bit and plays very similarly, I find, to the very first Shovel Knight game, which is kind of fun. Ironically, it took however many years for the Shovel Knight to actually dig, which is also funny, and I didn't think about it until close to the end of this game. But it's basically
It does seem like a foregone conclusion. I was just gonna say it does seem like a foregone conclusion now that we've seen it in action.
It's true. You thought there might have been more of that early on. Also, like this is clearly, I don't know. I feel like it's more Dig Dug inspired than a SteamWorld Dig 2, maybe. But SteamWorld Dig 2 is just like one of the all-time great indies in my opinion. So, nothing wrong with going down. So. But yeah, it's essentially a platformer where you're going down as opposed to going right. I mean, is that a way to describe it, Chris?
Well, my big like immediate reaction was like, oh, this is Mr. Driller, but because he's got a shovel, it's Mr. Digger.
Oh, there you go.
It's like Mr. Driller was where you would dig down and down and down to clear a stage, and pick up stuff along the way and just try not to get crushed by the ceiling. In this case, it's more exploration based, but there is a timer element because if you tarry too long on top of enemies constantly spawning, there's a big old chainsaw type thing that's going to come down and get you if you hang around too long.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, so I was like so confused. I tried to fight it the first time. I was like, "Oh, here's a big boss," and then I instantly died. And I was like, "Oh, that's like the guy, the one ghost in Bubble Bobble that when you take too long and they're like, hurry up, and then they like send an invincible ghost to kill you."
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. I feel like it could have given you a little more time. I do feel like sometimes. I mean, I don't know. It's probably balanced, but I do feel like there's always stuff I'm trying to clean out. when he shows up, you know?
Yeah, it's a challenging one.
The Omega Saw or Acolyte.
They want to keep you. They want to keep you going. They want to keep you moving. Makes sense.
Yeah, gotta keep moving.
Gotta keep moving.
No, it's time to get moving. That's the Blast Core lady. Anyway, Blast Core heads will know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's basically this kind of thing where again, you are digging through the dirt, you're going straight down, but there's other platforming elements as well on top of like platforming traps and stuff, like spiky boxes that move from left to right, especially after you kind of free them. Using different, sometimes parts of the ground will like detonate if you hit a switch or something like that, and that'll kind of free like danger platforms and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of challenge platform to it, not a whole ton, but the other thing is that, as you dig, the dirt also becomes your platform. So you want to dig in certain spots in order to gather jewels and stuff, because Shovel Knight, for whatever reason, cannot dig up. He can only dig down and side to side. So it's like if you need to get something that's like above you, then you have to like kind of go out of like where you've dug yourself into and then kind of try again. And you do definitely want to get those nice jewels and stuff, because the game treats death a little bit like a mix between a standard roguelite and an actual Shovel Knight game. You grab jewels like the whole time that you're going down, and like different, you have little miniature challenges throughout to like get more and more jewels, and you can't just sit there and like ponder each of them, because again, the big saw is going to come get you. So, and some of them are actually buried in like a pile, just like in the original game, where you kind of dig them out and they kind of explode into a bunch of jewels and stuff, DuckTales style, and then you're just like, yes. And the point of that is that once you inevitably die, because this is a roguelite type of adventure, they only just subtract the jewels in little bags from you like they would in the original Shovel Knight, but then you go back to the base with the remainder of the jewels in your permanent inventory. And of course, those can be spent on things that will make your adventure go better, whether it be permanent upgrades or purchasing items that will then get sent into the dungeon and will appear randomly along with everything else, upgraded power-ups and things like that. So it's really got that roguelite thing going of like where you're gonna die really quickly at first. Although I noticed that my first time down the tunnel was a lot longer than my subsequent ones. I think they dialed down the difficulty for just the first round.
I wonder.
So
I
did that happen to you too?
I went pretty far, not like super far. I didn't beat a boss or anything, but I did go pretty far. I think that makes sense. They might tilt it a little to let you understand what the game is about, as opposed to killing you outright when you're first starting.
Yeah, that's how it was for me too. So that must be intentional.
It's pretty smart. It's pretty smart, actually.
Yeah. And I did make it to a boss, actually. There are like some pretty cool like things that go on in this thing, like a lot of like interesting challenges that kind of take it away from feeling completely random. It's almost like it's these kind of cool things that happen but stitched together in a random way. Yeah, the game Chasm is a lot like that. If you've never played that, I really love that game. But yeah, it's like the other thing is as well. I'm sorry, Grant, did you want to talk some more about it?
I mean, I'll mention that you mentioned like things being stitched together. This reminds me. I always think of Rogue Legacy, which is my favorite roguelike of all time, the first one. And it does that thing where you visit. The rooms are all interconnected in different ways, but as you play the game, you might wander into a room and go, "Oh, I know this room. Like, I know where the chests are. I know how it's going to go." And this game has that same thing. However, I feel like this game is a lot shorter than some of those other games. So the idea of discovering what a segment of the of the built procedurally generated world is part of it, is understanding what you're supposed to do. So you just get better at it every single time. If the game was super long, I feel like it would be like, okay, here's this room again. But it doesn't really play out like that. So, which I liked a lot.
Nice. Yeah, I was just gonna say as well that there's another element to it, which is side quests up on the surface village. You can you can basically kind of get these extra challenges through bulletin boards and like talking to NPCs and whatnot, which don't actually involve the dungeon at all. Like there was one where I had to fight a bunch of critters in like a specific way, but they were like up on the surface area. And so it's like, they just end up being like these timed or otherwise precision based little mini games that you could just keep trying over and over again in order to get more rewards. So there's actually more to it than just the standard gameplay loop. They really kind of packed it in with like a lot of different ideas. And like I said, stuff that kind of keeps you engaged with the NPCs in the top world, which again, kind of just randomly walk around, just like in the town in the original Shovel Knight. You'll just like run across somebody who's just passing by, and they'll have something to say or something for you to do, or you'll get quests that involve the dungeon where it's like you want to find a certain thing or things like that. There's also within the dungeon bonus rooms that you can get to if you happen to pick up a key, which will follow you, but you can lose that key if you get hit. It'll drop and you have to go rescue it, or it can get like destroyed somehow. So that's the thing that they've had in video games forever too. So that's definitely reminds me of the one that comes to mind immediately is Castlevania Rondo of Blood or Dracula X, where you have to like take that key to rescue Maria, and you can lose that key, and then you have to like either go back and use a password to try and get it again, or just try and beat the game without her, which I don't recommend. So like it's got that element to it as well. Lots of elements to this game.
Yep, agreed. I will say that I feel like the unlocks back at base, as you might say, are a bit more about your next run specifically. They're more situational, less about powering yourself up to make the whole game experience better, and more about unlocking things in the runs. Does that make sense? Like I feel like with Rogue Legacy, it's a bit more about unlocking. It's about health bars, and it's about the grander experience of doing the runs over and over again. And this just unlocks a lot more stuff that's available for either the next run or it's run-based stuff. So that's a bit different. I think your mileage may vary. I don't know if you like one thing more than the other, but I thought that was interesting. I also really like the cogwheel system. So every segment of a level has 3 cogwheels you can collect, and you learn where they are, and you get better at it. But if you collect all 3 cogwheels at the end of a level, you can choose either to spin that up to get all your health back or get an item. And so it's like the way to get your health back, basically, if you suck for a segment, which I like.
And it's at the cost of a power up too, because it's like you can either restore your life or choose the path to get you a better power up that might help you out, which includes a lot of like cool stuff, like you can magnetize yourself where all the jewels will just kind of fly towards you, which really saves you some time. There's companions, just like in Shovel Knight. You can get companions that follow you and can also die. But anyway, and then also sometimes you can like go down like a whole different path. Like there's branching paths down, so you can kind of choose which one you'd rather. Yeah,
you outrun your way down the hole. I always think, for some reason, I always think of outrun. Don't know why, but yeah, you pick from one of 2 doors.
I like it. I like the random games we're pulling to compare this.
Yes,
to.
This is what it's all this is. And the last big thing I want to mention is the fucking music. It's so good. It's like it's Jake Kaufman at his best. It's like he is one of, if not the best composer of music that combines really ear-friendly chip aesthetic with like jazz and old Sega music and Mega Man. It's just killer. Like it's just a great game to listen to as well. Oh, yeah. So it just slays. Super good.
But don't listen to it, because then the saw is going to get you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, don't be still for too long.
Do keep moving.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. Our friend Horror Acolyte also sent in some talk of the game. The visuals and sound design for Shovel Knight Dig are fantastic. On top of the game having some tight platforming that makes it a joy to play, admittedly is a bit challenging, especially if the time-based component to avoiding the Omega Saw seems daunting. Although you are given a reasonable amount of time to proceed, there are accessibility options to make the game a bit easier. Ultimately, there isn't anything presented that is groundbreaking for the genre, other than a shovel, of course. But what you do get is another polished gameplay experience from Yacht Club Games that will surely have enough content for you to dig into.
Oh my.
Yep. Horror Acolyte gives it a buy it. What do you two give it for the asking price of... God, where's my notes? I'm an idiot. $25. Give us your thoughts.
I'm gonna say right now, as of when this podcast is just going out, because I think it's like 3 more days or something. It's actually half off on Switch, so I'm gonna buy it there.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's like $12.49 there.
Whoa, that is a hard buy.
It's been on Switch for a while. The new releases are the Xbox and PS5 releases.
Well, it's interesting that it wasn't only because Steam is not discounted. So I think that's interesting they discounted it on Switch. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that it's very good. It's just a matter of, does game time play into your spending? I mean, like, this is a game that is just really, really well done. $25 will get you 5 to 7 hours. Killer game, great game. Of course, you can grab it on a sale, but I think it's good enough to warrant the price. And there will be sales, of course, but I think it's great.
Yeah, roguelites are $25 sounds about right. I mean, usually Shovel Knight's a little more of a premium in what genre it's in, but I mean, they make up for it with the sheer effort they put into this, and that's no exception here. So it is a little more expensive than something you might expect in this genre, but just the fact that they shoveled in as much as stuff as they could get in there means I really dig it.
I dig the word genre.
If you want to check out the music, go to vert.bandcamp.com. The album is there to buy for name your own price. So throw them a few bucks and get some good music.
There you go.
Band.vertcamp.com. It's right there.
All right. Grant and Chris, you're both done. Are you sticking around or are you heading out?
I'm hanging till the end.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll be here.
I'm long hauling this shit. I'm ready.
Sweet. 2 hours with 4 reviews. We gotta do the rest of these quicker. Next game, Deck of Haunts, developed by Mantis, published by DANGEN Entertainment, released May 7th on Steam for $19.99. Deck of Haunts invites you to become a malevolent haunted house. Lure humans into your cursed halls, manipulate their fears, and drain their essence to grow your power. Use strategy to build your mansion and expand your dark influence, turning your home into a terrifying, inescapable nightmare. Just like this show. Pernell, what is Deck of Haunts?
So, also, just before I go into the content, that was a real one, Chris. I knew what you meant by time to get moving. That's my jam.
Time to get moving.
I love that.
That's right. Probably one of the best games for secret finding I can think of in the history of games, really.
It's the best first 90% of a game ever, and then among the worst last 10% of a game ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, to get everything, you got to break your neck. Oh, yeah.
You really do.
Also, there's 2 levels in the middle where it's I hate myself, usually involving that freaking back plow or whatever.
That's the one. Yeah.
Horrible. But enough about that. Let's talk about another haunted concept, another haunted being, the Deck of Haunts. And what this game represents. So this game was particularly interesting when it came out, and why I wanted to review it, because I am part of a board game design group, and a friend and I have been working on a board game for years now that is very similar to what this game is in video form. So I was I wonder what this does that might relate or be similar to that game. So here I am reviewing it. The idea behind this is that you are a malevolent being who takes the form of a heart that lies in the center of a room. Through your powers, you are able to shape a house or a series of rooms to create a house around your form to use to both protect you from and also to devour and consume would-be interlopers that would like to intrude upon your territory. Why are these people coming to this house? I have no damn idea. When you look at the actual map around the house, it just looks decrepit and desolated. And yet these knuckleheads are just coming out here for no reason. It's not like in the middle of the city. It's in the middle of nowhere. But I digress. The game follows a fairly simple but effective pattern. There is a phase where you are able to shape and reconfigure the house. Actually, I won't even go into that. The first thing you should talk about is how the game does it, which the first thing is people will come into the house. People can enter either from the main entrance hall or, depending on the properties of those people, they can enter from other unexpected rooms too. Your goal is to keep them from getting to the center of the house where your heart lies, because if they get there, they will do damage to you. And you can do this by one of two ways. Either by scaring the living crap out of them, resulting in them going insane, or killing them and harvesting their essence that way. Now, how do you do this? Well, by using a series of different cards. There are cards that are used to be represented to inflict various forms of harm to your opponent. For example, there might be one that says, do 2 direct damage to a interloper. Sometimes it might say, do 4 damage to an interloper and 4 sanity, but they can only be they have to be the sole person inside of the room at the time for it to connect. Otherwise, it won't let you use the card. So it's not just that it lets you just go willy-nilly and attacking people, but sometimes you have to isolate people to do the most damage to them. And there are ways to do that too, because there are definitely cards that will let you manipulate positioning of people and locking rooms so they can't get out of the room. They get stuck inside of a room. You can separate people that way. There's all kinds of cool things you can do there. But if you deplete their sanity first, they will go insane. At which point they will just kind of stay idle inside of a room. You'll get essence for that, but not as much as you could if you kill them. But if you do drive them insane, they will sit idle in a little bubble, in a little, fetal position, and just rock back and forth. However, if you kill a person by depleting their damage meter instead, their corpse will drop to the ground, and you will immediately collect on all their essence. However, if a person walks into the room and sees the body of the person that just died, they will lose their shit and immediately try to get the heck out of the house. You do not want people to escape your house, because for some weird reason, when they do get out, rather than just stay the hell away like they should have never shown up in the first place, they decide to come back, but they're stronger than they were when they came the first time. So basically, I guess they learn from their experience and come back better prepared with a hope of taking the scary house down. Typical horror movie trope crap. But at the end of the night, basically either you've killed everyone or driven them all insane. You'll get a wrap-up showing how many people you took care of, how much essence you've acquired, and then you'll go into the second component of the game, which is the construction phase. At this point, you might start out winning a card, which will let you choose to add to your deck of cards. But then you can take cards that are unlike the ones you used in the previous round, whose sole purposes are to build and expand on your house. You can move rooms around for free, or you can build new rooms, such as the guest room, the kitchen, or the living room. Now, if they're listening to this and they can tell me something, I even asked another friend who's been playing the game and he's been liking it too. He has no idea either, and he's beaten the game. I have no idea what makes these rooms special. The only indication I've got of them is that if you connect more than one square of the same type of room, you'll make a bigger room. Versus tinier, if you connect different versions of them, you'll make smaller rooms. So that might be the strategy in and of itself. Because every room I've come across, that's how I should describe this. Because in addition to these 3 regular rooms, you'll occasionally also acquire special rooms, which will convert these basic rooms into something grander. They might require the room to have 4 tiles or more or less. But when you place that down, the room takes on a special property. For example, my favorite is the nursery, which normally it's a little pricey to get people's tension up, which is a good way to further and make them go insane. But if you put a nursery in the house, if the human walks into the room, they just lose their shit immediately. because apparently a nursery in a haunted house is just messed up. I'd be inclined to agree with that statement, though. But basically, you'll spend all of your essence, or as much as you feel like, to expand your house, move rooms around to create a different pathway to reach your heart, and then the next night will begin. Over time, you will get more cards, more special rooms, and again, there are a good number of special rooms. But new rooms, new intruders even, because every once in a while you'll get like a special event occurring where a more difficult intruder comes in the house. Like, for example, the police officer will show up. A troop of police officers will come into the house because I guess they got a phone call or something. And they have the ability to blow the locks off of doors with their guns. So you can't lock doors on them because they'll just shoot their way in. And they're a lot more tough to both kill and drive crazy because I guess they've seen some shit, whatever. And honestly, that's probably the first time in the game where you'll start really being concerned about losing health, by the way, unless you're really bad at using these cards. At which point you'll just try again anyway because the game is that kind of fun. I will say I had a few moments of confusion when it came to like trying to properly organize the rooms because you can't move your heart. You can only place rooms down next to other rooms. So if you're trying to like create, let's say for example, a winding path in the house or something like that, it takes a little bit more creativity to pick up and relocate rooms because it's not as simple as just putting rooms in the middle of nowhere and then finalizing it by saying, okay, now I've linked them all together. This is my house. Because I want to make a serpentine house where it's just like room after room after room after room in a circle until you eventually get to the center just to see if that even works. It probably doesn't, but wouldn't it be nice to try? Ultimately, I'm rambling a lot about this game, but I do honestly enjoy it. It doesn't hurt that, like I said, I've been trying to design a game that runs on a similar motif for years, but I think these guys did a great job with it. I like the idea of how specific rooms have different effects on intruders when they come into the house, and I like the idea of like basically freaking them out and making them move around. I kind of wish there was like voice acting, not deep voice acting, but like just generic, like, oh my God, or no, like just screams and freakouts. That would be hilarious and add a little bit of flavor to the game. But as it is, it's still pretty freaking cool.
All right. Let's talk price on it. It is a $20 game. What do you think of Deca Haunts?
Easy worth a buy. This game is fun.
Very good.
I like it.
Really cool idea.
It is. Right. I recommend you buy it too. You will like it.
Buy it, Grant. Do it.
I need to. I feel like I want a version of this. I'd do DLC where it's like one of those. These haunted houses really nice. It should be the kind like I want a DLC where it's like the local, like Carney haunted house where you have to. It's like the one that you always end up seeing in your local town. You know what I mean? But it's the same gameplay. That could be kind of interesting.
Like just walking to the carnival. When did this carnival get here? Don't worry. Come on, have some fun. It'll be the time of your life.
It's Blake in the clown mask, trying to keep him awake. Anyway, cool, very cool though.
All right, let's move on. Next game, Into the Restless Ruins, developed by Ant Workshop, published by Wales Interactive. What's that?
I was like, my throat. I'm coughing over here.
You good?
I'm okay. It's not the game's fault. It's this stupid cold allergy. I don't even know what it is. It's just
damn game.
Making people sick.
Next game, Into the Restless Ruins, developed by Ant Workshop, published by Wales Interactive, released May 15th. Series X and S, Switch, PS5, and PC for $14.99. And the Restless Ruins is a roguelike deck builder. Use your deck of cards representing rooms and corridors to grow the labyrinth of the ruins. Then auto-battle your way through them, harvesting as much glimmer, I don't know, as you can from the cursed residence before darkness overcomes your torch. Pernell, what is Into the Restless Ruins?
Into the Restless Ruins is the best described as a serious breath of fresh air in the roguelike deck builder genre. Like, I did not expect to like this game like I do when I booted it up. But it is essentially, you are a person trying to help a spirit. I'm not even going to get the names right, so don't even expect me to, but you're trying to help a spirit by reclaiming her essence from a bunch of warden guards that exist within a series of dungeons. So the game takes place as you explore these different dungeons to try to reclaim those essence of her soul. Now, the funny thing about this, though, is that the dungeons don't exist yet. You build the dungeon to get from the beginning of it to the end of it. You see, the way to get to a warden is by going into their labyrinth and locating a room, or multiple rooms that contain seals. And by destroying all of the seals, you unlock the way to their final room. Which then in turn kind of starts off with the intent of the gameplay loop. You'll show up on the screen. You'll see a series of rooms that are not interconnected. They will be grayed out, like a fog will be over them. That's your indication that you want to get to those rooms most likely, because there's likely something good in those rooms. But there's no path to get to them. So how do you get to them? Well, you have a series of cards in your hand. And those cards represent rooms, hallways, that you can place from the entrance to wherever, so long as you have the resources to do it, because there's a build currency to do this. Place these rooms down, and then when you've spent as much as you could, you start the game, at which point you start to maneuver through the rooms. But before I get into that, I'll describe a little bit about the types of rooms you might engage with. So, it's not just basic corridors and such. In fact, a number of these rooms might have special properties that tie into the mechanics of the game. For example, Joe made a comment in his description about your torch going out. Well, that's because when you eventually start engaging with the labyrinth proper, you're on a timer. That timer being the light in your torch. Once the light goes out on your torch, you will succumb to utter darkness, which means you will barely be able to see where you're going. And your life will drain very, very quickly. So, you might want to place a campfire room in the dungeon, if you have one. What that does is it lets you recover 20% of your torch gauge when you go into the room, but just once per run. But that's enough sometimes. It will save your bacon. Trust me on that. There might be rooms that let you get an attack buff when you go in there and activate it. Some rooms, the effects are instantaneous. Other rooms, you have to stay there and waste precious time to activate the room. So you might have to decide whether or not that's worth it to you. Like, for example, there's a room where if you sit down and activate it, you'll get an additional build point for the next night. So you may be able to place an additional room that you might not have been able to place before. But I rambled enough about the general construction of the rooms, of the labyrinth as it is. Once you're ready to go, though, you are officially running through the labyrinth that you just created. Fun thing about this game, though I'm sure it'll piss a lot of people off, once you're in the labyrinth, you can't pull up a map. You need to know what you built, because it adds to the tension of like, crap, I'm lost in I'm lost in a labyrinth of my own horrible creation. It's a great thing to say when you're pissed off, but you'll be running through the labyrinth. Your hope is to get to the rooms that are ghosts that are fogged out, and potentially find maybe one of the seals so you can progress further into the labyrinth. Once you unlock a seal, a fog wall will be removed, which will allow you to build further into the labyrinth until you eventually reach more seals, which will get you further into the labyrinth until you eventually reach the warden. But you'll also find events such as a character that will let you upgrade your rooms. You might be able to say, for example, take a room that has 3 entrances and exits, and now you can turn to a room that has 4 entrances and exits, which sounds hokey, but trust me, you're going to want to do that. Certain times you're going to find yourself with a room that's the hallway, it's the perfect shape, but the door isn't on the side you need it to be, and therefore you're not going to be able to place the room like you want it to, and it will piss you off because you want the perfect model. And as you get further in the game, the labyrinths get larger and more difficult. As you're running through the labyrinth, though, you'll also come across a multitude of monsters. You fight them automatically. Once you walk up on them, your character will swing their weapon in their general direction. It hopes of eventually killing them. It is not unheard of for you to become overwhelmed, so definitely be mindful of your positioning when monsters are coming your way, especially when you've engaged a seal room, because once you unlock the seal, a horde approaches, at which point you get swarmed by monsters. You should be able to kill them all, but you'll have to be a little crafty about how you deal with it, and you definitely want to hope that you have some decent torchlight at the time. Once you kill enough enemies, though, and collect enough glimmer, while you're running through the labyrinth, you'll level up, at which point you will acquire the ability to choose a new card that can be added to your arsenal. It might be a room card. They're all room cards for the most part. Sometimes you might get like cool little boon cards too, though. But you'll basically get more cards that can pad out your deck. And just like in most deck builds, you'll eventually get the ability to like kind of purge some cards if you get tired of certain rooms and you want better rooms or whatever. So after you've done all this and you've managed to get back to the exit point, hopefully you manage to get back to the exit point, you do this again by expanding the labyrinth by adding more rooms to further extend it out and so on and so forth. However, there is an additional tracking method that is existent in the game aside from the torch, and that is the curse meter. At certain points, let's say, for example, you die. Let me rephrase that. Every night, every time you have to go back to the exit and then rebuild the labyrinth out, the curse meter gets a little longer. Every time you die in the labyrinth, you get respawned, but the curse meter goes up. There's a couple other things that increase the curse meter, but just know curse meter increase is bad. It makes the labyrinth more difficult, and it eventually leads to a game over. However, every time you remove a seal, the curse meter goes down. So there are ways to reduce the curse gauge too. Eventually, you'll unlock various like run boon items too, which will give you different perks as you make your runs through the labyrinth. Some that are good, some that are bad, and they all have an impact on the curse meter's default status too. So play with them at your own peril, but let's be honest, you'll enjoy playing with them. That's just how this game is. Ultimately, though, I probably said a lot. I hope I didn't miss anything of important, general pertinence or importance. Oh yeah, wardens are bosses. Ooh. All I want to make known and clear, though, is that I think this game is wonderful. If anything, I just wish it had more music. Maybe extend the soundtrack a bit, give me some more tunes. But the tunes that I have heard are good. They just get repetitive. This is a fun game. It's a very unique game. And it's one that I think people need to... Yeah, that's right. This is a game that I think people should take the time to attempt to play and hopefully appreciate. Because this is innovation in a genre that has been beaten to death with a shovel knight shovel. And to see someone come along and make a change that feels fresh at this point is unheard of to me. So this game is worth playing.
Well, it's $15. What's your verdict?
Definitely worth a buy.
Very good.
Sorry.
All right. What?
I apologize. I coughed again.
How dare you?
It's the body. It hates what it hates.
All right, next up, Garten of Banban 0. Developed by Euphoric Brothers, published by Feardemic, released May 15th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5 for $4.99. What is this place and who are you? You'll have to discover the answers on your journey through the facility. Piece together the truth to uncover what's really going on here. Survive the dark past of Banban's kindergarten. Travel back in time to explore the origins of the establishment. Only you can connect the dots, understand its true nature. Aki, I know you love this series. Tell us about Banban 0.
Please kill me, is what I'm saying. But it's also what all these characters should probably be saying. So this is a first-person perspective game. You solve some puzzles and you run around a bunch. This seems to be displaying some of the characters of the prior games when they're younger, soon after they transformed. I don't know, because I'm pretty sure these characters are supposed to be adults that were changed, but they're behaving like they're 5-year-olds and shit. So I don't understand the lore anymore. It's all fucking gibberish. But you have recently been changed into something who knows what, because you never get to see any part of yourself. And Banban has decided, fuck you, and you in particular, for some reason. But I guess people actually like you, and he's a dickhead. So that would be my guess. And so you go around, you solve a few simple puzzles, like, hit this button when this is over the stop sign, when this light flashes onto the stop sign, or hey, put these in order the correct way so the light goes through them all from smallest to largest, and blah 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 blah. And other than that, it's just running around picking up some small amount of collectibles. There's a handful of keychain thingies, I guess. I don't know what they're supposed to be. and a few notes, like all the games have. And yeah, it's about an hour long, and it is a little bit better than some of the prior games, but it still isn't a particularly good game. It is more of the same old, so if you like these games, you're probably going to like this. If you don't like these games, this sure shit isn't going to change your fucking mind. And yeah, that's about all there is to say to this, because again, this is like an hour long of a game, if that. This is one of the very short ones.
Gotcha. Well, it's $5. What do you think?
If you like these games, go for it. If you don't like these games, you can safely pass on this, like you have all the other ones.
Very good. Next game, Survive the Fall, developed by Angry Bull Studio, published by Toplitz Productions, released May 22nd on Steam. $24.99. Explore, loot, and fight in an open-world action game set in a post-apocalyptic future after a devastating meteor strike. Assemble your team and take the fight to the enemy, or choose a stealthy approach to gain the upper hand. Expand your base to research new gear and get ready to survive the fall. Like the name of the game. Pernell, what is Survive the Fall?
Well, it's usually what happens when you don't have your break your pace alert on, and you manage to, take an especially gnarly tumble, and you can't get back up, but you're still down, baby.
I can't get up.
Yes, my man. You know what's up. Okay, that's the sequel to this game. This game, however, is actually a game where I don't even know what the genre is at this point. There's people call them things, whatever, but let's just call it a tactical adventure game where you are a named group of survivors, which, by the way, I'm going to point that out right off the top. I like the fact that the survivors in this game are specific people, not a bunch of just randomly generated entities that just have perks and traits. They are specific characters with narratives associated with them and characteristics. I wish more games that ran in this line did that. But enough about that. In this game, you take control of a series of survivors who are trying to just make it through this apocalyptic situation. Essentially, the game starts out in a pretty rough way from the jump. You're on your way. You're basically out hunting for food to bring back for supplies, and your base gets attacked. At which point, a rescue mission is attempted, and you're already just kind of getting caught up in the middle of everything right from the start. But what that is I'll talk about the two facets of the game. There is the mainline phase, which I like to call it, where you're basically exploring an open map, locating supplies and the like. And there's the other one, which is the base construction. Out and about in the wild, the tactical adventure component of the game, you can control 2 to 3 people at one time. And those characters are basically searching about trying to find resources and supplies, or fulfilling various objectives, such as saving a person or collecting specimens and items and the like. And as you're doing this, you will traverse the landscape, and every once in a while you'll come across resources you can use to harvest and collect by sending characters over to use them or to engage with them. Every character has a specific perk associated with them. Some that are better for the base, others that are better for the exploration phase. And in the case of this, for example, you might be a character who's better at harvesting goods. So you'll get an exclamation point above their icon when you come up to the, if it's the object that says you want to harvest this, like, well, if you harvest with this guy, you'll do a better job of it. You'll do it 40% faster. So you'll basically choose who goes and you send them out there. You have a limited inventory space, so don't be like me, because if you are, you're going to regret it when you're constantly dropping stuff left and right. But in addition to that, there is situations where you will have to engage with combat. And at this point, there's melee options for combat where you can just run up on enemies and attack them, or you can use your gun by aiming it and firing it. That's primarily with the character you control. However, you can also set some behavior mechanics or AI structures for your teammates to engage how you'd expect or want them to. For example, you might want a teammate to pretty much go on the offensive at the moment they see enemies, just go in there and beat the stuffing out of them. Or you might want them to take a more defensive approach that says, I'm not here to brawl, I'm just here to walk. Unless one of my teammates starts taking damage, then I'm going to step up and do some damage. That kind of thing. And you can also choose if you want to do it with ranged weapons or whatever. Or melee weapons. But while you're out there, you will be engaging with these characters. You will have need to heal yourself. You will have need to feed yourself. And you will have need to rest yourself. Though primarily you'll be doing the resting at the main base unless you take some stimulus to jack yourself up. Now, eventually, whether because the story takes you back there or because you just straight up feel like it's time to go back home, you'll eventually take yourself back to camp. And once you're in the campsite, then the base construction component of the game comes in. And while I definitely have had challenges with that, I do feel like it is something that I was getting better with. I say was because something that I will mention at the end of this review. But at which point, when you're at the base, your task is to fortify the base to prevent intruders from coming in at night, because they do eventually start doing that. Also, to clear rubble, which will give you resources, produce food, produces bases for people to sleep, and medical facilities for people to get healed from, whether they get sick from stasis, which is an illness that is prevalent in the New World after the meteor struck, or just from taking general damage from being out and about in the tactical zone. When you're doing this base constructing component, you are able to manipulate time slightly because it all happens over the course of a day. It's not real time, but it is on a clock. And once the clock has run out, the day is over. At which point, I would assume that's when people will start to raid your base. So get everything done as best you can, get people as rested as you can, get your resources in order, and then hope for the best. One thing about this game that I thought was interesting is that they do have a bit of a tutorial in regards to explaining things like, okay, well, you need to have this here, or you want to have this workbench here, or you want to have a social area so you can tell people when they want to eat. However, one thing that I wish the thing told me about before I burned all my early research points and was doing like a weird shuffle is that you can only have one person engage with one location at a time, including places that you would think multiple people could use, such as sleeping on the ground. There's a lot of ground here. You should be able to just sleep anywhere you want on the ground. Sleep on the mountain. Sleep on the dirt. I don't care. It's the ground. But there's one place in the camp lets you sleep on the ground, and it heals your sleep regimen terribly. It's just enough to get by. However, after a couple runs out into the wild, I realized both of my runners were like 90% exhausted, and they weren't capable of doing much of anything. But I can only have one sleep at a time on the ground. There is a way to get around that, mind you, by building bunk beds in one of the shelters. Basically, you can build facilities and structures and stuff. But by the time I realized that, I was already down a lot of resources, so I had to do some special runs specifically to get the resources to build the bunk beds and stuff. So I was like, oh. But once I got that down, I was able to do a little bit more with the actual cycling and managing this base. There are still aspects that I could totally do better, such as, I don't know, trying to figure out if there's a way to make it so they don't have to walk so far to drop off supplies when they're making use of the plant. Because I was assuming that they would just have stuff accessible there, but no, they were all the way back to the main hub and then take it all the way back to the building where I built it. And I went and looked at the facility structure to see if there was something I could build that could be like a secondary housing unit. I don't know. I just can't. Everything just seemed to be like, no, I can't do it. I have to keep going back to the main hub. Maybe the warehouse storehouse will let me do it, but from what I could tell, because I haven't unlocked it yet, that's what I can think of from the description of items that would let me, have a different storage location for supplies. Now, the reason why I'm saying things like maybe or could have or should have is because, and maybe it's because I'm playing on the Steam Deck, but after I gained access to fix the main gate, and it was time to consider putting a watchman up there to keep enemies from coming in, my game kept crashing. So I was unable to progress past that part of the game, which makes me sad, because I was honestly enjoying the game. It's a good time. But for some reason, that crash keeps occurring. I thought it was a one-off thing at one point, but it happened to me 4 times. So it's definitely not a one-off. There's something going on with that. If that were to get resolved, or maybe I just end up getting lucky and just stumbling past it eventually, I'll continue to play the game and do more with it. So, but as it stands now, I like the game. I like what it's doing, despite me being upset about the fact that I burned through all my supplies to build a farm with no tanning, no supplies, no functionality on the farm before spending supplies to put bunk beds in. I think the game is good. I just wish I didn't have to worry about that glitching situation that took place.
No. Well, it's 20.
And also, I should mention too. Wait. I also should mention too. They kind of do the not so much the Last of Us vibe, but pretty close. Where in addition to normal humans that are a pain in the ass to fight, you also have different cults and factions that you engage with. But most notably, there's like a whole like shroom faction. Where not shroom faction, neither is a true faction, but there's like enemies that function similar to the whatever they call those monsters in Last of Us, where they live inside the stasis. Basically the chemical that I mentioned came from the meteorite, and when you deal with them, they are freaking wild. Like they move faster than humans do. They're more aggressive than humans are. And though there are ways to kind of cheat the system and just kind of hide from them because they don't have much the best of AI. If you run far enough away, they're not coming after you. But if you're engaging them, they are vicious. And if you're trying to stealth around, they are pretty scary when they spot you. So I do like them as well. But now I'll stop rambling. That was the last thing I wanted to mention.
Did you read the quick start guide? Because I'm checking out the known issues that we got in the PR, and it says that random crashes may occur. This is a pre-release issue. So it seems like that's something that should be fixed when the game launches.
Well, that'll be good. Then I hope so. And I'm glad that it's mentioned in the pre-release guide then for sure. But even if it is, I still had to mention just because I couldn't experience more of the game because it wouldn't let me, So
yeah. It says there also may be some mistake in the texts. And I like this one. Fire in the forest area of Biome 3 currently deals excessive damage. Entering it may result in instant death.
Well, then, I mean, fire should do that. So, I mean, maybe that's not a glitch. Maybe that's a feature, not a bug.
Just some added realism.
Yeah, like Indeed. Fire kills you. Don't go in it. I would say, depending on what they come back with, they say like, okay, we've done X, Y, Z to it. Try again. I'd be okay with revisiting this down the line to give it a better impression once I hit, get my full 3-man party and I'm doing more stuff and I get the experience with base raids or like. But as it stands, I still do like the game. So despite what I said, as long as what they said is true, I do like what I've played of the game so far. So there is that at least.
All right, well, it's $25. Give us your thoughts.
It'll be a try it right now, I would say. But like I said, I'll revisit it down the line. If those Knicks are knocked out, I can give it a better impression.
Sounds good. All righty, we got one final game to talk about tonight.
One more game.
Okay, technically two. But Aki's doing them in one review. We're getting naughty. George, take it away.
SML After Dark.
Yeah. The Seven Realms, Realms 1 and 2, developed and published by SeptCloud Games. Available on Steam for $9.99 each. The Seven Realms is a fantasy, story-driven adult visual novel where your choices will shape the fate of the realms and the people around you. Will you be a fair or strong ruler? Will fate be enough for you, or will you want more? The choices are yours to make. Aki, tell us about your time with the Seven Realms, Realms 1 and 2.
All right, so in this, you're playing as a young vampire guy named Atlas. You can change his name if you so desire, but he is old as shit. He is the brother of Odysseus, yes, from the stories. And you are trying to figure out who this woman is, at least in the first game. You feel an abnormal attraction to her, and she smells like a fledgling, just-turned vampire, which is very, very highly illegal, only to end up not being able to control her, which means she's excessively unnaturally powerful because you are turned by the strongest of the vampires, and therefore are one of the strongest vampires as well. So the moment you two touch, you find out that you're bonded, which is basically like being soulmates, more or less. It's some sort of magical thing where two people touch and they realize they're just made for each other no matter what. and they're automatically just drawn together no matter their desires, realistically speaking. And weird thing is, vampires aren't supposed to have those. And another small issue with this is once someone's bonded, killing their bondmate might kill them as well. So now you have to protect this individual. You don't know what the hell she is, so you don't know how exactly the bond is going to affect you, because different species have different types of bonds, so you don't know what's going to happen to her or what's going to happen to you with any of this. So the first game is about you and her trying to figure out what the hell she is, while also trying to protect her from a bunch of werewolves that want to kill her post-haste, because they have a problem with you, very specific. And you're also dealing with the decline of basically your quote-unquote father's rule of this realm, Terran. Terran's basically Earth. It has werewolves, humans, and vampires, basically, is the majority of the creatures on this planet. And father was basically the one who ran everything with an iron fist for a very, very exceptionally long time. And his bondmate died, and he's been despondent since. So you've been trying to pick up the pieces? Not very well, though. So you now have to deal with all of this shit. You know, your lack of power, your family's lack of, being really there with anyone at the moment. So you have to find all of this shit while protecting her and trying to put everything back together to better protect her and therefore yourself. You do meet a lot of allies and a handful of enemies along the way, many of whom you get to fuck, which is great. And yeah, there are some secrets to be shown. I'm not going to tell you what they are, because they are pretty important. And then we go into game 2. You're noticing I'm going through these very quickly. It's because these are older games.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about the new one, next week sometime, maybe?
I'm hoping so. I should be able to get it done. In the second game, you're going to a different realm, and I cannot pronounce it because most of these realms are fucking hard to pronounce, to be quite frank. Terran is the most simplistic one because it is Terran. And it's basically the realm of witches and demons. And you're trying to get them to create a potion to help save somebody because they've been using their power on basically a spell to keep someone else that's important alive. But because they've been constantly feeding their energy into this, they've gotten so weak that they're not going to be alive much longer, and if they die, the other person dies too. So you now have to save that jackass to save this other person because they're important. So yay! And of course, the witches, the one in power is kind of, what's the polite term? She's a massive, arrogant, egotistical cunt. Yes, that's how you call it. And she's decided that she doesn't need to answer to you or your father, and y'all can go get bent. So you have to deal with her ass, and you also have to deal with the other people who the heir parents that you found that are also going to be co-ruling Terran with you. And so you have to deal with trying to appease them while also trying not to basically stab your dad in the back, because everyone wants different shit. Because no one can just sit down and talk about things. That would be too fucking simplistic, right? So you're also trying to get the witches not only to make that potion, but also you need them to help you find somebody by creating a magical trinket to locate them, because that individual's a little piece of shit and needs to die a painful, very painful, slow death. And they really don't want to do that, and you figure out why eventually, and it's heinous and it's fantastic. And then war starts to be a thing that is suggested. So you're trying to avoid war because it will weaken your kingdom, because your father isn't very strong anymore. He's been despondent for hundreds of years. He's weakened considerably in that time. And you're still trying to get all the pieces together to keep yourself and your bondmate or bondmates, depending on choices in the first game, alive. And, in good standing. So now you have to figure out, do you want to appease the other heirs who are going to be ruling along with you with their more naive beliefs that, for us as the player makes some sense if you like Paragon ways? Or do you want to go and do what you've been trained to do literally your entire existence, and what your dad wants, which is, cold brutality, thinking about what needs to be done and putting your realm first. So it really ends up becoming a juggling act there. And the animation gets significantly better in the second game, which is technically DLC for the first game, which is why I had to finish the first one first in order to actually start playing the second game. Animation gets a big increase. The sex scenes, you end up getting a whole bunch of different views for the scenes instead of just one view of it, which is nice. And there's something that I have to say very positive about this entire series so far that I don't see in a lot of porn games, and it's a constant conversation about consent. Even when characters are together, they're always checking in, making sure this is something they want to do, or, hey, you want to go do this, that, and the other. And it's nice, because, in half these games, your character might just wake up one day, and one of the people they like is just giving them oral underneath the sheets, and no one's ever talked about this, or anything the hell else. And it's like, yeah, that's great in a game. It's kind of fucked up, though. You don't just do that. And this game, they talk a lot about consent throughout the whole thing. Even you and your bondmate, who's from the very first game, from the first half hour of the first game, you guys still occasionally check in with each other, make sure, everything's copacetic in bed and stuff. And it's just really nice. And yeah. You get to have sex with, 10, 15 different people throughout the two games. It's nice. It is an adventure visual novel. There are some choices that alter the gameplay a lot, but most of the choices don't. Most of them just do slight alterations by pissing some people off a little bit, or not. But usually most of it plays the same way no matter what choice you make most of the time. But there are some bigger ones that are going to heavily change stuff later on. And yeah, that is a majority of what I want to say about this, because I wanted to be quick, because we're pushing over 3 hours already.
Yeah, we are. $10 each. What do you think?
Oh, hell yes. These games are fucking awesome. And they have so much consent in them, and I like that.
Jazzy. All right, we're done. Yay! Thank you, everyone, for hanging out, keeping us company on this monster of an episode. Big thanks to North Star Games coming on, chatting about Spray Paint Simulator with us. Again, that game is out next week. You should check that out when it launches. Big thanks for Tim and Dave for coming on, doing their stuff. Chris, Pernell, Aki, big thanks to you three for hanging out, and Grant hanging out the whole show. Grant, do you have any new music we could play?
No.
Nope.
Shit.
I do not. So play some Shovel Knight Dig tunes.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, Shovel Knight Dig coming right up.
You have my consent to play Vert music.
Consent
We'll
is
play
key.
Crystal Flash, since this is a really short episode.
I didn't get a chime in before it was over, but that was actually a pretty awesome part about that game series.
Ooh,
the consent stuff is pretty cool. So
nice.
Yes.
Cooly cools. So yeah,
Cool.
Crystal Flash from Bert coming up. That would be awful on this episode.
What is it like? How long is that song?
23, 24 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Grant, give us some final words to end the show.
Oh, I thought it was over. Let's see. All the things we talked
Consent is
about.
good, kids. Get
long live-
consent.
Eat your vegetables, children.
Absolutely. Long live Bam Bam Bigelow. Ask for permission. Good night.